Oh man, I still can't tell you.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna have to tell you after the race.
Is it the same as the last race?
Yeah, I just got like a playlist, just get comfortable and yeah, that's it. Can't tell anyone.
Alright, well one day I'm just gonna have to start cueing in music.
Yeah, it could be mine, could be not. So we'll see.
Good luck, dude.
See ya.
Dude, I like the gear set. That's cool. It's looking something different. It looks like the icy pops.
The rocket pops.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Team Rocket Pop.
Team Rocket Pop today, man.
Team
Good
Rocket
luck.
Pop.
Good luck, dude.
Thank you. That's our run.
Come on. Here we go, boy. I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go.
10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro.
Another day. It wasn't easy. Track was gnarly, but it was fun. Totally different conditions from the beginning of this year, and sick, just deep ruts, and man, kept catching my feet out there. It was just hard track to ride, but it was fun, and found my flow, and the guys around me there the first half, it was pretty cool. Josh and Lane, I could see them, and yeah, about halfway mark I started just pulling away, and I think I just kind of found my flow, and yeah, solid.
Today looked
Yeah, this loamier soil it's still like clay, but it's weird. It's like spongy and kind of reminds me of some racing we do in New York back home. So I mean, rode this stuff before, and I mean, the rougher the track gets, the deeper it is, the better my bike works, and yeah, the faster I go, the better it works. So I just try to stay on the gas, and I don't know, it makes me smile out there.
This is too good. This is last last lap. I don't know. We get too close to the trees, I guess.
Brutal.
How you feeling?
Much better now I'm done. Dude, I smashed my nuts like so hard with 2 laps to go. That was brutal. Knocked the wind out of me.
At that point, it's just hard to just even comprehend what's happening.
Mentally, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but yeah, I came back and I felt like I had what it took to hold second, but just picked a bad line in the end and buried it. So Trevor got around, but no regrets. I mean, I left it all out there.
Still, you look so smooth. Did you feel like you
Thank you. Yeah, no doubt. I just rode my own race and I felt like I was riding like I know how, so good.
It's the pre-race music.
That's it. One day I'll let you know what it is.
That was tough. The track was super soft and hits ruts, but was able to ride consistent and get it done. So that was fun. It was fun. Me and Gus were sort of chugging along there at the start, kind of back and forth for the first 2 laps. I was using him to follow the track. First lap, I got by him and I was like, man, I don't even really know what the track is. He was all over me. I'm like, go back past me. And then messed up a line and he went back around me and I was following him and got a flow again. And yeah, it was fun going back and forth with him. Thank you.
Hasn't quite sunk in yet, but with the second, feels great. It felt like a normal training day, to be honest. Felt good. I got the whole shot over Lyndon and then I led the first lap. He passed me on the first lap and then I led the second lap and then I let him go again. And whoever was sort of flying more was in front and then he got around me and tried sticking with him a bit, but I lost him and then Strain came behind me. I got behind him and sort of gave me that gap over 3rd place.
Tank. I did not have another lap in me. I got a pit board with Ryder saying 47 and I was just getting, he was catching me and I seen him in the field. I just gave it all I had. I'm pumped though.
I feel good. Yeah, I feel better than when you pull off and you lost. It's a whole nother mood. I'm probably just as tired, but I don't feel it.
What's your message?
I FaceTimed Stu this morning and showed him the tilled fields and the wet and the moisture and the ruts, and he said, I hate myself. He's pissed. He's pissed. This might cheer him up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not gonna be happy when I tell him I'm not coming back to South Carolina this week.
Oh.
He's not gonna be pumped. Thank you.
Make some noise for your top 3 in the XC1! Shake it up and bang! Popping bottles on the GNCC podium. Get you some cheers. That sweet, sweet taste of the podium at the GNCC. One more time. You guys act like your arms are tired. Make some noise for your top 3 in the XC2!
GNCC Racing!
Welcome to America's premier off-road racing championship, the 2022 GNCC Series presented by Specialized and AMA National Championship. I'm Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Waynes and Mark Hyde joining us in booth today as we'll be giving you the play-by-play and the call from the race, the midway point of this 2022 season, the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And what a stage we have set here today leading into this round of racing. It has been, well, one of the craziest seasons we've we've seen so far, with obviously a lot of riders dropping out in that first round, and we've been kind of watching things get even crazier as the season has progressed. But Ben Kelly has been a total dominant factor as far as the XC1 Pro class is concerned. However, things have changed heading here into the midway point. If you have not heard, Ben Kelly injured last weekend at a national enduro event, and of course may be out for a few rounds of racing. That is the big news here this weekend, and of course that opens the door with a 60-point gap back to the second place position, and only 1 point separating second and third with Jordan Ashburn and Trevor Bollinger. Definitely the points race is going to start to heat up between those two riders, and the rest of the field as an extra spark of energy, I'm sure, has been given. Well, of course, with the total domination of Ben Kelly taking the wins at every single round so far this season, everyone else has been jockeying back there in that second and third place position, so we know that today's racing should be very exciting. Now, what do we have to expect as far as the course is concerned? We've had a little bit of rain leading into the weekend, and of course, kind of a dry day yesterday on Saturday, but more rain last night, which kind of slickened things up early this morning, but should yield perfect track conditions here this afternoon. And to give us more on that and what these riders can expect as far as this John Penton GNCC course is concerned, let's head on down to Jared Bolton.
Welcome back to Sunday Creek Raceway for the John Penton GNCC. Tell you, this place, you never know what to expect. We've been dealt crazy deep mud here. We've been dealt crazy deep dust, silty dust. I know what you think. He's going to say there's a little bit of something to everyone. That's not always the case here. There's a mix of faster trail for the bikes. We add in the John Penton section that's a little tough and technical. But by and far, the guys that are really good on this slick, slimy type dirt, they're going to do really well here. A little more open in places, but it's not a wide open Florida-style fast track. Overall, a little more technical here, a little slower. Going to play to those guys' skills, make for some great racing. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jared. Looks like the riders have got themselves another challenging race course and a great one to battle on. And of course, we'll be back with more coming up here in just a few moments. Myself, Mikey Waynes, and Mark Hyde as GNCC continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
work your way up to the power point. You guys can either go straight up the hill like the morning did, or you guys can go out around, whichever way you guys prefer. That'll bring you back down. A little bit of a filled section there before you drop back down in the woods. That was super good earlier, guys. I don't know if it's got slick. I imagine it's pretty slick over to the 1 mile mark. That'll bring you down close to the monster mile there at about the 1.5, guys. Please listen to me when I say this. On the right line going down the hill about the 1.5 where the dangers are and the arrows are pointing down, that right line has a couple good braking bumps on it. So just please be careful when you guys come down through there. Like we say, it's going to be slick, so just be careful. That comes down to that creek crossing. You cross over that creek, past the 2, you'll work your way all the way out through there, past the 3 to the flat rock. Doing the same thing. The morning's going all the way out through there. You guys won't see the 4 mile mark just like them. It's actually on that piece the quads ran. And then you guys are going to the Penton section. So that should be pretty good. We did what we could do over there. I think you guys shouldn't really have any issues. Jeff and them rode it earlier and said it was better dirt than over here. So about 0.9 over there, guys. If you guys know where I'm talking about, everybody's been over there. You'll be coming out through there, and you drop down, and you'll have a ditch. You can kind of go up over the hill there. It kind of goes out around if you pay attention. And if you don't want to do that, or there's a bottleneck there, if you pay attention coming into it, you can go right. It goes all the way around that. The arrow is a little bit longer, but it's there. It's open the whole time. So I take you all the way around the Penton section. Guys, just be careful in there. You're the first ones in there. There's still grass and everything, so stay with the arrows. You'll come back across the road. You'll work your way all the way out through there, and since you guys are in the Penton section, we're not going to run you up on that hill. There's no reason to keep putting you further up, something harder. So you guys will miss the 5 there, just like the morning did. That'll bring you back across the little field there, another little section of woods before you guys drop down across the road to the 6 mile mark. And I was watching Bolton earlier, so from the 6, and you do that little bit of woods, and you come back up, run on your tiptoes all the way out through those off-camera grass track out through there, guys, because they're falling down left and right. So that brings you back to the 7. You guys will come across the road. You guys are going to make a left, and then when you go through the gate, you guys are going to make a right. Just be paying attention. That takes you to the pro pits there. You head back up over the hill, back down to the 8 mile mark. Nothing too crazy through there. Back across the field, right here behind us, you're going to head down just like the morning did, across the creek, come back across the creek again, and then a little hill climb that brings you back up to here. So you guys are 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half probably. It should be a lot of fun, guys, that first lap. Just please be careful out there.
Safety first. GNCC racing, like all motorsports, can be dangerous. Racers, now that you have had an opportunity to inspect the course, have heard race procedures, and a description of the course, if you feel that either you or your machine is not prepared, then now is the time for you to withdraw for a complete refund of your entry fee, no questions asked. It is your responsibility to operate your machine in a safe manner, maintaining control at all times. Extreme caution is required when approaching areas with high concentrations of fans. Do not take unnecessary risks that endanger the safety of fans. You will be penalized for reckless racing. Race fans, crew members, and family members. Due to the nature of GNCC racing, there is no fence barrier around the race course. It is your responsibility to keep yourself and your children a safe distance from the race course. Never turn your back on oncoming racers. Use extreme caution when crossing the race course. And remember, stay off the track. For the safety of everyone, unauthorized drones are prohibited and may be confiscated. And finally, unauthorized pit vehicles are prohibited and may be confiscated. Absolutely no pit vehicles permitted in the woods or on the racetrack.
Well, there you go, folks, and that's all we need to know, I guess, before we get ready to go racing. And, of course, what we'd like to do right now is to have everyone's attention for just a few moments as we ask this man right here to ask a blessing on today's race, Mr. Ricky Towery.
Thank you, Rodney. Hey, let's go, Lord, and let's have a word of prayer together this afternoon. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for bringing us all together safely to have a little fun. Watch over these riders of Rainsville this afternoon. It's a little slick out there in places. Keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. Once again, continue to watch over our military men and women, the ones that served today and the ones that served in the past. Be with each and every one of them. Be with our leaders every day for our country, that they'll make the right decision. Watch over all countries in the world, Lord, each and every day. We just thank you for being in control of all things. This is the John Penton race. We thank you for the Penton family, what they've done for racing through the years. Continue to bless that family and look after them each and every day. Lord, we've had so much fun already this weekend. We just ask you let us have a few more hours this afternoon. As we head home, we ask you'll take everyone home safely so we can get back together again one day to have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please stand at attention, remove those caps and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, yes, folks. The wonderful sounds of that starting line coming to life as they ready themselves for battle here in just a few moments. And we ready ourselves next for the introduction of our premier XC1 Pro class. It's been a hard-fought season this year, no doubt about it. And here at the midway point, the championship is wide open. And rolling to the line today in accordance to points to the first 6 rounds of GNCC racing. To the line first today, he is currently second in points, riding aboard the number 3 from Livingston, Tennessee, on the Magna 1 Motorsports Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn. Next to the line, riding aboard the number 739, hailing from Morganton, North Carolina, on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna machine, Trevor Bollinger. The XC1 Pro Class rookie to the line next. He's 4th in points aboard the number 342 from Morgantown, Pennsylvania, the Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna, Greg DeLong. He is 5th in points, riding aboard the number 206 from Winsted, Connecticut, on the factory FMF KTM, Josh Toad. 6th in points from Honey Path, South Carolina, on the Rev Motorsports Gas Racing Machine, the Grizzly Grant Baylor. He comes from down under, 7th in points aboard the 114, a former GNCC champion, now from Denver, North Carolina, on a Babbitt's Online Team Green Monster Kawasaki, Josh the Freight Train Strang. To the line next, aboard the number 212 from Duval, Washington, on a Coastal Racing Gas. He's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. And next, aboard the 523 from Boonville, North Carolina, on the damn Pro Yamaha, Lane Michael. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the 7th round of the 2022 GNCC Series. Welcome once again to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And as Lane Michael makes his way around that first turn and heads to find his start position on the starting line, there's just one order of business left before we can wave that green flag today as our trusty DJ mounts aboard the Yamaha R-Max 1000. DJ Judd, would you please remove the meat? That's right, the Monster Energy Activation Transport, aka meat, is making its way off the starting line now as these riders now have a clear view into that first turn and what will commence a 3-hour battle of racing here in only mere moments as Ricky Towery finds his way into that first turn region and soon to step out and to begin to give the all-important messages and set the stage for today's racing action. And here's where it all begins, my friends, as Ricky Towery makes his way out. He readies himself. All systems are go, and Ricky Towery lets these riders know 1 minute before the start of the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. This is where the nerves begin to boil over with a fresh new season for a lot of these riders and a championship hope in the air. Racing action is about to get exciting. A little rain falling this morning. Conditions are slick here in the clays of Ohio. It's going to be interesting as that blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are now less than 30 seconds away from going racing. And I got to ask you, race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? You guys don't sound so thrilled right now, so let's try this one more time, guys. We've got a page in history that is about to be written in GNCC, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And it's the 114, Josh Strang. The freight train takes the early lead. Ricky Russell in the number 2 spot. And jockey for position back there for the number 3 spot as we head to the XC2 250 Pro class. Ryder Lafferty, Benjamin Herrera, Angus Riordan. 10 seconds. Vincent Smith, Cody Barnes, Thorne Devlin, Mason Simmons, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Mike Witkowski, Hunter Bush, Jesse Ansley, Evan Smith, Benjamin Elko, Rui Barbosa, Simon Johnson, and Jonathan Johnson. Oh, it's carnage in turn 1, but it's the 347 of Evan Smith from Jefferson, Georgia, on the Liqui Moly factory beta machine, hooking up and grabbing the early lead. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am set to roll next. 10 seconds. Brody Johnson, Brendan Poling, Eli Childers, Max Fernandez, Chase Goslin, Dakota DeVore, Zachary Garius, Jason Lipscomb, Zach Hayes, Hunter North, and Jake Froman off and rolling into that first turn now. 5-7-5, Zachary Garius, early lead out of Mars, Pennsylvania on that Yamaha, looking like these slick conditions mean absolutely nothing to him as he takes off like a rocket on that 125. The Open A class coming up next. Neil Emmett, Tanner Whipple, Ezra Pine, Huck Jenkins, Tyler Bowling, Dylan Dela Cruz, Andy Civil, also Nathan Rector, Cole Whitmer, Samuel Evans, Joshua Ellis, and Hunter Smith ready to roll in 10 seconds. And And as the green flag waves on this one, the raindrops begin to fall from the sky one more time, adding insult to injury as far as this racetrack is concerned. But the 703 is not denied. Sam Evans from St. Albans, West Virginia on the AOMC P3 Composites Fly Racing Machine, grabbing that early lead to the 258 class coming up next. 10 seconds. Tyler Palmer, Trevor Getz, Zachary Davidson, Nathaniel Tasha. That's Bubs for those of you that don't know. Jason Tino, Gavin Simon, Philip Dagnanese, Ben Wright, Garrett Mundy, Bolton Baroth, Wesley Schmidt, Scott Collins, Tanner Collins, Braden Nolette, Michael DeLosa, Dylan Carano, Joshua Cage, Tristan Landerman, Trevor Maley. The early lead in this one is going to the 711 of Trevor Maley from North Canton, Ohio on the Coppersmith Husqvarna, backed by Olean Suspension and Atlas Brakes Technologies. 10 seconds. 158. Caleb Baltimore, Logan Crawford, Toby Cleveland, Brady Weimer, Cameron Madison, Jack Walker, and Zach Murphy. Six, 14. Cameron Madison from Wright City, Missouri, taking that KTM to the front across the line, but it looks like he's got trouble there. Brady Weimer might have made that pass. They're battling right now. 4-stroke A light set to roll next in 10 seconds. Cooper Jones, Ryan Piper, Nathan Delaney, Ty Ely, Sam Hall, Colton Shields, Levi Elliott, Lance Machino, Chase Landers, Russell Smith, Matthew Hollenbeck, Mitchell Owenby, Drew Calloway, Maverick Thaxton, Hayden Dillon, Matthew Davis, Cole Forbes, Lane Whitmer, Samuel Goins, Playston Moore, and Jack Joy. It's the 36, Cooper Jones from Walton, Pennsylvania on the Ampro Yamaha, backed by Factory Connection and FMF. Junior A 25 plus class coming up next in 10 seconds. Evan Maynard, Caleb Haynes, Max Servin, Justin Leonard, Aaron Higgins, Thomas Mann, Brady Myers, Andrew Boggs, and Braden Moore. Trying to steal that inside. Let's see what happens. A good move there. A very good move, and it pays huge dividends for the 821 of Brady Myers from Walker, West Virginia, the Lemon Barons Power Sports Kenda Tire 989 racing machine. A page taken from the ATVs yesterday. That inside line really seeming to work as we go to the Bet A class. Danny Haffel, Joshua Brown, Joshua Wyatt, Mark Horesco, Michael Funk, Andre Paolo, Matt Sorge. 10 seconds. James Bauer, Robbie Norwood, and Shane O'Banion. Oh, here we go. Around that first turn now. It's the 837. Shane O'Banion going to grab the early. Oh, he gets the whole shot. But picked up and drops back to about fifth place position. The 551 grabbing the early lead of James Bauer now. As we go to the senior 840 plus class, Joe Marsh, Smiling Frank Messina, Shotgun Sean Remington. 10 seconds. Joe Dean, Jimmy Johnson, Vinny Tomic, Chad Montgomery, Lane Wildfong, also Larry Sylvia, Corey Thorson, and Darren Darmos. Come on, Darren. 828, Corey Thorson, look at that. Out of Boaz, Kentucky on the LW Investigations Moose Racing FMF machine. Taking it through turn 3 and into the woods now in the lead as we go to the Open B class. Coming up next, 10 seconds. Dylan Fleming, Austin Hovatter, Jacob Lauder, John Wood, Isaac Prunty, Kyle Samansky, Cody Reese, also Jacob Maynard, and Matthew McCormick. Rain stops, it starts, it stops, it starts, and it stopped and started yet again. As these riders sweep that first turn, the 524, Cody Reese from Greensburg, Pennsylvania, the Lucas Vintage Motorcycle C Concepts Fast Track Moto backed ride. And man, does he have it dialed in going through this first wood section now. The 250B class coming up next, 16 riders in 10 seconds. And Drew Inman, Chandler Taylor, Nick Martin, Tyler Shields, Caleb Lane, Ty Atkinson, Mason Hill, Brady Robbins, Jaden Wilson, Caleb Hines, Matthew Pickens, Robert Latensky, Jason Morris, Michael Horwatt, Caden Sims, and Robert Dillahay. So let's see. That's a 4-1-1 of Caleb Hines from McMinnville, Tennessee on a Hale and Hines Nursery, Hines Construction Dunlop Tire Machine. $150B coming up next. 10 seconds. Carter Windland, Ethan Dingle, Trevor Golden, Robert Weiss, Gavin Hampton, Randall Searden, Ryan Richards, Ryan Harvey, Andrew Seegers, Patrick Callahan, and Ryan Gribbett. $5.36, Andrew Seegers from Sumter, South Carolina on a Seegers Racing KTM backed by Moose Racing. Leading that one, 4-stroke B Lights class coming up next. Ricky shifts positions, lets these riders know. 10 seconds. Landon Beatty, Thomas Allen, Wade Tucker, Rayleigh Messer, Todd Fouts, Eric Boner. Also Landon Hamilton, Brian Kubik, Nicholas Thompson, Dakota Cunningham, Lane Morris, Brock Belso, Preston Horton, and Hunter Hurst. $3.33. That is Rayleigh Messer from Beaver Dam, Kentucky on the Don Adams Towing and Recovery and Golf Painting LLC backed ride. We go to the Junior B 25 plus class next. They're ready to roll in 10 seconds. Benjamin Briggs, Tyler Costner, Jamie Spray, Casey Munger, Taylor Myers, Colton Hawk, Billy Saliga, and Brandon Farmer. Triple nickels. Oh, Colton Hawk, I thought had that one, or Willie. No, look at that. Three different. Yes, Colton Hawk pulls it off. Out of Petersburg, West Virginia on the Tri-County Yamaha backed by Western Power Sports and Tucker Rocky. Good move there. Bet B 30 plus class coming up next. 10 seconds. Adam Odell, Brian Resotarski, Larry Hopper, Scott Hopper, Julio Lubiana, Daniel Zortman, Stephen Cosner, Jamie Bechter, Nick Plank, Ryan Ford, Doug Hughes, Ben Odell, Joseph Klimt, Sasha DeJuric, Eric Kettering, and Chase Malloy. 724, Sasha DeJuric out of Norton, Ohio, nearly goes down, but maintains that number one spot. And still through these tree sections and into the woods, he most certainly still will. ATM almost factory. 10 seconds. Senior B 40 plus class, Adam Nastic, Cody Hosta, Mike Swartz, Dave Youglas, and Brent Maynard. I'm sorry, that almost factory. Almost Busch Light, Craft Moto back try, getting the whole shot in that last race. 6:02, Mike Swartz from Windsor, Ohio on the Yamaha. One of the young guns at 40 years old, taking the early lead in that one, and that's going to do it, folks. Our start is off and rolling. Over 205 riders traversing the trails of southeastern Ohio, and of course en route to find out who can come out on top today. It's 3 hours of racing. It's a challenging race course today. Stick around. Who's going to come out on top of this one, and who's going to start to chip away at the points lead that Ben Kelly has left unattended? GNCC continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Ben Kelly here, 2021 GNCC champion. Subscribe to Racer X and get yourself a fresh FMF t-shirt.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And I want to welcome you guys back here to Racer TV for a little GNCC Live. And we are... That sounds good. That sounds good. I think we are okay now. All right. Anyways, I want to welcome you back here to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Mikey Wayne's here, joined alongside the Mr. Blackwater 100 himself, Mark Hyde, pulling back-to-back races with us here this weekend or this year, as Johnny Gallagher is heading down, I believe, Tennessee to, I don't want to give too much away, but Yamaha stuff going on. Big things for Johnny Gallagher. So Mark Hyde, welcome back in the booth with us. Mark and I were just, and we'll be joined here in a moment with the Rodney Tomlin making his return, as you guys heard him down with those iconic 10-second calls. Before Yep, gotcha. Before we jump into it, want to take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map to give you guys an idea of what these riders will face. If you missed that early on in this, Jared Bolton was giving us the description, and, of course, the FMF PowerPoint, the Monster Mile, the John Penton section here. Mark Hyde, I guarantee you know a lot more about this track than I do, man. Take it away.
I tell you, this place has been, we've been racing here since 1990. It's just a fabulous place. The Russell family has done the Russell family just opens their arms to us at this race. And the cool thing that we used to have a lot of this, but this now the specialty of this race is the John Penton section. And for the afternoon race only, when you cross that road, it's just an amazing, fresh trail. There's some stuff you have to read lines in there, uphills, downhills. So it's a really cool section, neat feature to this place. And today with the weather that we've had, it's going to make some a little tricky as well.
We're going to audible here, but Mark Hyde apparently a little audio issue. Sorry about that. We got him a different headset now. So, Mark, again, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, the Russell family does a fantastic job here at this place. We've been racing here since 1990. And the cool part about this is the reason a lot of us are here is the John Penton section.
Yes.
John Penton got with Mr. Trunkenpoltz, and that's how KTM came into existence in the United States. And the John Penton section is something I know the riders look to every year because it's fresh trail. There's a lot of uphills, downhills, very technical section, and it really challenges the afternoon riders.
It's certainly a treat. It's kind of interesting, John Penton. I was thinking about that this morning because also, it's big KTM Youth Weekend. We give out, KTM gives out those medals to our micro bike riders and our youth riders after the race. And it kind of, like, as I was sitting there this morning thinking about it, it's like, man, we got some young kids out there who might be thinking, hey, Dad, why do we have, the Camp Cooker Bullet, the Iron Man, the Big Buck? Why is this one named after some guy? And, boy, he's not some guy. And hopefully, dads are doing their jobs out there and saying, well, son, you probably wouldn't be racing a dirt bike quite like this if it weren't for a man like John Penton. So, yeah, definitely, a historical site and a historical name in not just in our world, in the industry, but in motorcycles in general. Certainly pay our respects to that man, no doubt about it. Well, Mark, obviously the big story coming into today is as if this season couldn't get any crazier, any more wacky. As most folks out there know, Ben Kelly suffered not one but a couple pretty serious injuries at an enduro last weekend, and not racing with us here this weekend. No, I guess, official word on when he will come back, but he's going to be out for a bit.
Yes, I was at the enduro, and actually I ended up being with Ben, helping get him out of the woods and stuff. And that guy is a tough customer.
Ridiculous.
I could not believe how polite he was. I mean, his leg gives a compound fracture, and he was in a lot of pain. He popped his shoulder out, but he just looked at me and said, I know this is going to be bad, but just get me out of here.
Oh.
And so he didn't complain really that much, and I was amazed how tough he was getting out of there. So I saw something in Ben last Sunday that I don't care if that guy ever wins a motorcycle race again. He's something special. And we do have a little bit of history on this because I remember one year when WISP was the race going into the summer break, Jason Raines broke a fib.
Yeah.
And the points were a lot closer then, and Rodney Smith ran him down and won. I think that was the championship run. Rodney was 40.
You think you're right, yeah.
And Rodney Smith's even here today. I talked to him early in the pits. So got all the big hitters here this weekend.
Oh, man, that's so cool to see. And then in that same breath, Stu Baylor with another injury just as he was just on the, clicking things off and starting to come back. That injury to his eye socket, which, nothing to mess with by any means. So now it's kind of the waiting game for both of those guys. And I'm not ruling anything out for them this season. Mark, when we take a look at the points breakdown, Ben Kelly coming into today, obviously the 6 wins in a row. We were definitely talking about, hey, is a perfect season possible? It's out the window. We're going to have a new winner today. But if you look at the points breakdown, Jordan Ashburn, 115 heading into today. Trevor Bollinger, 114. Now, you get 30 points for a win. You do the math. Let's say Ashburn wins the next 3 and we go into summer break. Gives him a 25-point edge on Ben Kelly. Trevor, that would be, a 24-point edge. Ben Kelly realistically could come back after summer break, click off a win, and depending obviously on where Ashburn and Bollinger would finish, could very well be still our points leader with 1 race back. Now, it is what it is, but that's also a challenge for a guy like Trevor Bollinger and a guy like Jordan Ashburn. It's like, hey, if you want a shot, because Ben will probably come back before the end of the year, you better win the next 3. And I don't know that that's going to happen because you got a slew of riders out there, XC1 and even XC2, that are in those top 20 points. And we actually had a chance. Jordan Ashburn kind of stands out as the guy with the 115, even though Bollinger's got the momentum. But we did have a chance to catch up with Jordan Ashburn and kind of get his perspective heading into this weekend.
Yeah, so coming into the last race, I was actually pretty sick that week. My whole family had the stomach bug, and I was really just trying to get to the race and try to be as healthy as I could. And lost a lot of fluids coming into it, and tried to catch up as much as we could. And I think we done pretty well. We came in a little cautious at first of the race. I didn't know how I was going to feel, but found myself kind of dragging the middle. But at the end of the race, I kind of made some time up on Craig the last lap, and was able to get around him in the field right before the motocross track at the finish. So it was a pretty heated last lap, and we had some good battles. And the race was good for me, and I mean, we got pretty good points. Not exactly what we wanted, but we're looking at it long term and just trying to get as many as we can each race. We're second in points right now. Me and Trevor's a couple points apart, but yeah. So with Ben getting hurt last week, and it's really unfortunate, and he was leading the series, but now it's kind of got a few races he won't be back for, so it's kind of an open door for us to try to gain some points back, and that's kind of our goal. So we'll try to get through each race as they fall and see how it goes.
Well, there you go. Right from the horse's mouth, Jordan Ashburn knows what's at stake. It's interesting. I thought it would be a little bit longer before I got this, not joke, but kind of an inside joke between myself, Johnny Gallagher, and DQ, David Quellen. As that interview is going on with Jordan Ashburn, Mark Hyde and I look outside, it's pouring rain, and we always joke, Jordan likes the mud, man, and hey, this is going to be a mudder, but this mud here in southeastern Ohio, I don't even know how to describe it. It's an oddity. I mean, it's like ice on top of glass on top of another layer of ice once it gets wet, and then it doesn't, I mean, it's like walking around in buckets of peanut butter. I mean, it is gnarly and creates for some crazy racing. Your thoughts on that?
I grew up in Ohio, love this place, love riding in Ohio. You kind of get used to those conditions. But the thing that we've got at this event, because it dried out a little bit after the rain we had Thursday, Friday, and the quads kind of polished some stuff up. And now this race on top of that's going to make it even worse. So, and I think the guys now would prefer it keep raining, because if it thins out, it dries out, then the mud, like you said, gets the peanut butter effect. And I think they would rather have this. And this is a guy, too, I think we should talk about, Josh Strang.
No doubt.
He missed some races earlier, but he's won here before, did well here last year, and he's one of those spoilers that could jump in there to mix things up to actually help Ben out. And then you've also got Lane Michael, Ricky Russell, and Ryder Lafferty's been on fire lately. So those guys could jump up in there, and then, like you said, we have Ashburn, Bollinger, DeLong, and Josh Toth, too, and Snodgrass.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of guys that are all about the same pace, basically, behind Ben, and now do they ride at a pace they're more comfortable at without Ben pushing the pace?
Makes
so
sense.
They're stronger for the end of the day. So, and then too, another one I don't want to forget is Grant Baylor.
Yeah, Grizzly.
He's good in these conditions too. So I think the weather. So, like we said, if it plays out, Ben could still be in a good position if the doctors can get him patched back together.
Yeah,
this could be a crazy year.
It's interesting. I kept hearing about miracle doctors, and hey, that is the truth. Maybe modern miracles, however you want to put it, but he could be back before you know it. Josh Toth, I think, sort of that next man up there under the KTM tent, and I think they expect and he expects some big things from him today. And is he going to be due out there to get an XC1 win here today? But yeah, so many added elements of it. We actually spoke with Lyndon Snodgrass. I heard a little bit, and he talked to him about, hey, you got some on-time adjustments, some overall podiums, and hey, you look at the top 20 in points, you're doing really, really well. He downplayed it a little bit and kind of, it's nice to get up there and run with some XC1 guys, but I don't know if that was just kind of the chess game going on. Like, man, I don't want to out myself too much, because hey, those XC2 guys start talking a little too much, and then the big boys in the pro class are like, all right, young whippersnapper, we're going to show you today. But nonetheless, you got to think all eyes be on some heavy hitters in that XC2 today. Maybe not just on adjusted time either. Maybe on a physical top 3 here today.
Yep. And two, you look at the standings. I mean, Jordan Ashburn's been the most consistent guy behind Ben Kelly all year. But the last 3 races, Bollinger's gone 3-2-2. So, so he's the one that's kind of on fire right now. And then Josh has picked up his pace. And then, like I said, some of the guys that have had a bad year, like Grant and Lane and Josh, especially Ricky Russell growing up in the Pacific Northwest, he's used to these kind of conditions. So you kind of got to look at that factor too. But yeah, I think we're in for some great racing, because I think now everybody with Ben gone, everybody's like, hey, it's my turn to win.
Right.
I'm going to put my stamp on this series, and this is their chance to grab it, whether it's Jordan or Bollinger or, and Craig DeLong too. Craig's been super consistent all year, just kind of hovering around that 5th place finish every round.
Yeah, it's interesting. Craig was kind of the guy, you look back, and the guy that got called up essentially because it was like, hey, Trevor's hurt, Thad is hurt, we got to have somebody. And Craig had to grow up quick. And so I think he's probably been in the limelight at Rockstar Husky a little longer than what he expected or what anyone else expected, with some heavy or some big shoes to fill. But I think he's answered it well, and I think to see some big things out of Craig here today at this Wiseco John Penton for sure.
Yeah, Craig's done a great job over there. Again, get moved up a little bit early, but his older brother Andrew, he's been chasing that. When you have a big brother, you're always trying to keep up. And Andrew won a National Enduro Championship, and Craig won XC2. So I think he, of the guys on this list, he's one of the ones that could step up and then be on the center of that podium at the end of the day.
Well, all the talk of who's going to step up, show up. I got to say, the 114, Josh Strang, he's good here at the John Penton, no doubt about it. And like the ageless wonder. It just seems like as soon as it's like, man, it's about time, Josh Strang going to ride off into the sunset, he comes out, he gets some podiums. He always seems to snag a win, it seems like, every year. And he is certainly poised out front right now. And, hey, the freight train, sometimes we don't see him come on till late. So with Strang being out front early, it's probably good news if you are a Josh Strang fan in this one.
Yeah, and with the conditions we have today, Josh has a great riding style for it. He's pretty smooth. And again, this stuff gets super slippery, but you still have to stay aggressive, because when you start slowing down, you start hitting a lot of holes and collecting that mud. Your bike gets heavier, your tires get plugged up. So again, it's you have to be like a cautious aggressive out there today. You got to pick your spots, and if it does quit raining, the track's going to dry out, so you're going to have to read those situations. So there's a lot going into this, keeping your goggles on. So sometimes you're battling with a guy, you kind of got to keep a little bit of a distance, keep those goggles so you got good vision, and pick your points as a rider. Just 2 riders going by with their goggles hanging there, that's just doesn't do you any good right there. So the goggle guys, the pit crew will be super busy today, keeping fresh goggles on the guys, maybe even some gloves. That takes a little longer. Hopefully that doesn't happen to any of the guys. But vision is going to play a key role today and able to go fast the whole time.
It's so interesting you say that. We had right as you're talking about the importance of goggles, probably 4 or 5 riders right there in a row running by. No goggles early in this one, which is just tough. There is Mike Wachowski in through the pits. So we are catching XC2 guys through here through the 8-mile marker, the GBC Tires Pro pit stop. Rain, if you're thinking, what was the weather been like? We got some rain late last night that absolutely terrified the guts out of me when I was doing amateur ATV podiums. Hey, I'm a Midwest guy, and when the sky gets gray and the temperature drops and the wind picks up, I'm like, we need to be in a basement somewhere. But we kept it rolling. But anyways, a little rain last night, and then this afternoon, I would say probably after the white flag for the AM race, we started getting some sprinkles and some rain. So fortunately, I would think, Mark Hyde, you'll know better than I do, I would think these guys were prepared, the pro race. Hey, we're going to have some muddy conditions. We got to prepare for it and have our goggle game dialed. Whereas, in years past, okay, the rain sneaks up on us, and next thing you know, lap 1, you see everybody coming into the pits for a fresh set. But, I think business as usual so far for these guys as they're rolling through the auxiliary pits into that little right-hander and back around to the pro pits.
Yes, and then these guys, too, they've been forecasting rain all weekend for Sunday. So, that they had their stuff. And all these guys on the pro level, they should have stacks of goggles sitting there, roll-offs, tear-offs, all combinations for the conditions. I mean, that's what these guys do this week in, week out. So that's something they definitely have dialed in. And when you come to the John Penton, you should expect that. We're going to have all the conditions at this race.
I bet you were wishing, thinking back to those Blackwater 100 days, that goggle technology that it is now was like that back in the day, yeah?
Yes, and the worst part for me, because I wore glasses back then,
yeah.
And that was before I had my eye surgery, the RK and stuff to where you could see, and I was so jealous of the guys that could wear goggles, so I always wore my glasses, but that's the thing where you had to be really smart about, when you attacked a guy, when you didn't, splashing through a hole, a day like today, a guy has to actually use a lot of race smarts.
Makes sense.
Because there's going to be some holes, and you got to kind of pick your spots, and as the track dries out, there's going to be places where you can get more aggressive, and you're really going to have to pay attention to those sections on the track. Also, the XC2 guys, they have a good chance today, too, because the front 450 guys, with everything that's going on up there, they might be a little cautious early on, and the 250 guys, they always just get after it from the jump.
Push
early. They could run them down early and then catch up there and see what they can do, because there's some really good hitters there in that XC2 class, and Snodgrass has been on it hard lately, and Ryder Lafferty, he's won the National Enduro last weekend, so that's a big boost. And I know the last GNCC at Crawfordsville, he had some issues, but came back all the way to 4th, and he won the XC2 class the time before that. So he had a little rough start to the season, but he's been on a roll here lately. So, if those guys tag team together, they could work their way to the front pretty quick.
Ryder getting their freshies right there, so should be checking in here in a little bit. That was Hunter Neuwirth, I believe, right there picking up a fresh set of goggles. But
and for the time it takes to pull in and get a set of goggles, it's well worth it. There's been races, I've used a pair of goggles every lap, but your vision is just so much better with it, and you can attack the course a lot better when you can see stuff, because sometimes you get mud in your eyes, or you run your goggles too long without tear-offs or roll-offs, and then you'll hit something you didn't see, and you just can compound like that guy there without a front number plate. He probably hit something he didn't see.
Oh, no doubt. That might have been, I think that might have been the 490 Max Fernandez right there.
Yep.
So getting in some of our A riders, some XC3 guys out there as well, coming through our auxiliary pits and back around to the pro pits. But yeah, back to your point on the XC2 guys, it just makes sense for, if you're an XC2, 3-hour race, sure. But XC2, man, if you can push early, get up there, toward the back of the pack or even middle of the pack for XC1, and then you can kind of key off those guys, run that pace. It's only going to help your longevity throughout the 3 hours.
Yeah, they definitely have a great opportunity here, especially with the Ben Kelly situation up front. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how the front runners attack each other, because Jordan Ashburn, he's been consistent all year. Trevor Bollinger's been on fire, so we'll see what happens there. Craig DeLong too, and Josh Toth, he's had some great results, but been a little inconsistent at times. So we'll see if he can pick the pace up and pick up where Ben left off.
Some big shoes to fill. Hey, Josh Toth, listen, Ben Kelly won the first 6. Josh Toth, no big deal. Just got to go out and win the last 7.
There you go. Championship
It's
series.
that easy. It's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, with Ben last week, I was in the woods there with him. You talk about big shoes to fill. He wears a size 12 boot.
Oh,
because
yeah.
When he was in there, he goes, if you have to cut my boots off, I don't care. I said, what size are they? He goes, 12. I said, yeah, cut them off. I need a 10.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, cut them off. I need a 10. That's pretty good.
Yep.
No, I can't use those, so you're fine.
Yep.
That's too much.
Yes. So yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how that front group plays out today. And then, like we talked about too, Ricky Russell, Lane Michael, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor.
Yeah.
They really got nothing to lose, so they could go out there and just give everything they got and force the pace, see what happens.
Yeah, I think, you get outside of Ashburn and Bollinger, who are the two, kind of front runners right now as far as the points are concerned. I'm with you. I think beyond that, you're kind of playing with house money at this point. I mean, go out there and just see if you can go get a first-place finish and really start gaining some points. And maybe you're not fighting for a national title, but, boy, that national number, lower it gets, sure looks nicer and nicer.
Yeah, and I'm sure Ben is at home hoping that those guys do him a favor and
just trade off wins.
Yeah,
hey,
keep the further they can keep Ashburn and Bollinger down the list and Craig DeLong, the better it does for Ben. If he can and does come back. You can see here now we got some of the rock section, the hills and the
side by
lines.
side.
Yep, Josh. There we go. Josh Strang running right up there. And that's Ricky Russell right behind him, the Pacific Northwest guy. We talked about that earlier. He should be very familiar with these conditions.
Ashburn looked like he was not too far behind him. There goes the 523 Elaine Michael, and there is the Grizzly Grant. And Craig DeLong just behind Grant Baylor.
And Josh Toth.
And there was Toth, okay. I thought I saw Toth earlier. That was, oh, that was Ricky Russell there, the 2 spot, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, all these guys have been just off Ben's pace all year, and now we see them. They are stacked together, tight as it can be. So that could be, you know, some great races. The spectators, you see them all stacked up there. They're in for a treat today. Well, you can see Josh, just look at those guys tiptoeing through that section right there.
Looking like a flat track right there around that corner as they check in with a lap completed, and Ricky Towery camps out in what's left of the grass. Strang comes through, turns a 37-11. Ricky Russell in the 2 spot. Jordan Ashburn loving the mud in P3. Trevor Bollinger 4th. Lane Michael rounding out the top 5. There's a Grizzly Grant in 6th. 7th place Craig DeLong and Josh Toth in 8th. And man, yeah, you look all over Mark Hyde, and it's 3 seconds between Strang and Russell, and really it's closer than that because they kind of had to check up a bit there going through the finish line. Ashburn, it's 3 seconds back. Bollinger, 2 seconds. Lane Michael, another 2 seconds. Grant Baylor, 2-second gap. Craig DeLong, 2-second gap. Josh Toth, the big gap, 4.8. I mean, just insane. And there is our first XC2 rider. How about Evan Smith on the beta? Checks in out of the XC2, and on adjusted time, that puts him in a 4th spot here after 1 lap of racing.
Yeah, these guys, it'll be interesting to watch the lap times because that'll tell us a lot about the track, too. If we see those lap times dropping down, then we know the track's getting better. If they keep going up, then it's going to be a lot worse. And then, you know, right there at the finish line, you saw that because that was a heavily narrowed traffic quad area. And like I said, you could see the dirt. They just weren't getting anywhere below the surface. So that's what makes this a real struggle today. Going from those changing surfaces, the riders are really going to have to battle that all day long.
Ryder Lafferty has checked in out of the XC2 class. That puts him 10th overall. Rudy Barbosa just behind him. That puts him 11th overall, 3rd in class. Cody Barnes, 12th. Lyndon Snodgrass, number 13 spot with Benjamin Herrera, 14th. And Mike Wachowski, tough middle of the pack start for him right now, sitting in the number 15 position in that overall. And there is Jonathan Johnson checking in 16th.
Yeah, you look at the group of riders there. We do have a couple XC2 guys working their way into that top 10 and everything. But, you know, the guys we talked about earlier in the show. Now, Evan Smith is one guy we didn't talk about, and he's doing the best. And he is, very good in these conditions. So we'll see if he can keep it up front there and maybe even squeeze a spot on the box at the end of the day.
How this FMF PowerPoint, the ATVs yesterday and here this afternoon with the 2-wheel side of things, I don't think that the camera shot looks good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it does that FMF PowerPoint justice.
No, and I think sections like that are really going to change later in the day when we start getting into traffic. You get 1 or 2 guys stuck on that hill and it changes the whole complexion. And sometimes, you know, you don't want to be the guy first in a situation like that. Right. If you're in second, you can see what happens and pick a different line or look for an alternate line, and you'll make out better than the guy leading.
Liam Draper on screen right there through the FMF PowerPoint, but early in this one, it is Josh Strang leading the way. The 114 Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Cowie rider, the old wily veteran. Can he hang on and bring home the win here at the John Penton GNCC? We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
My name is David Huff. I'm an AMSOIL independent dealer, and we're up here in Millfield, Ohio at the GNCC John Penton race, which is the oldest race on the circuit. And I really enjoy coming up here in Ohio and entertaining the crowd, with my AMSOIL product, as you can see. and we are here to discuss the most popular item up here in Millfield, Ohio, because of the southeastern Ohio red clay, is Mudslinger. Now I'm going to tell you, mud up here sticks to your shoes, and you feel like you got ankle weights on, and I'm going to tell you, it's bad. It's really bad. It's slick, all right? But with Mudslinger, when you apply it to everything on your ATV or your motorcycle except for your seats, hand grips, foot pegs, and brake calipers, and the reason is because you put them on there, you're not going to stop, and you're going to come flying off the motorcycle or the ATV. Mudslinger, easy cleanup afterwards if any mud sticks to it, and I say if any mud sticks to it.
Knotty Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Knotty Tires.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin along with Mark Hyde, the king of the Blackwater, and, of course, Mikey Waynes headed down to the pit area to get a word with some of these teams to find out what the circumstances and situations are unfolding out there like. As we check back in, not much of a change that we're aware of at this particular point, but Josh Strang leading Ricky Russell and Jordan Ashburn back in the number 3 spot. There were about 6 to 7 seconds that separated those top 3, but more importantly, I think some of the interesting news for me is the fact that Evan Smith, who got the whole shot and early lead on the road number 2, the XC2 start, is less than 1/10 of a second behind on time adjustments behind Jordan Ashburn. So, you know, that lends me to wonder, you know, depending on what happens in these upcoming laps, obviously, Mark, you know, he's put himself in a pretty good position. And when you put the big picture in that, he's 7 seconds out of the overall lead right now. So, I mean, that's a pretty good place to be in. And we know traditionally, you know, that second lap and third lap things start to change a little bit different as time goes on, but we got to think today is not a traditional day. Today things, I mean, it might be traditional in the sense that we've got traditional John Penton mud, but with the attitudes coming into this one and the high hopes and I'm sure extra expectations on others, you know, this day really lends itself to a lot of unknown things that can transpire here today.
Yeah, and the weather being one of the key factors. Looking out now, it's kind of quit raining here for a little bit, so that could change some things up a little bit. And, yeah, the course conditions are going to make a big factor. And as the day goes on here, we got Josh Strang going through. And Josh, he won this race last year. And, you know, as we have this group in front, we have the guys that are in title contention, and guys like Josh Strang, who's used to winning races. but kind of out of contention because of injuries this year. So it's going to be a big battle. And then you got a kid like Evan Smith, you know, he's trying to make the best of his year, turn it around. So he's pushing hard. So yeah, we got some interesting racing going on today because of the conditions. And also we have so many people at different levels of their season. And with Ben Kelly being down for a while, you know, everybody sees this as their chance to jump up there and win some races.
Yeah, obviously, you know, like you said, Strang, with the injuries that took him out a few rounds and the phenomenal rides that he even had leading up to that. It's a heartbreaker for him, especially because he could have been in a pretty good position to take advantage of a situation. But it also gives him a chance to take advantage of the situation that he can make up some points, get back up into that top 10 likely, or hopefully, you know, with a couple good rides, maybe a couple wins, you know, here over the course of the next few rounds. I mean, things can switch around, especially as tight as the points race still is out here, Mark, and as crazy as we know GNCC racing can be, especially with what we've seen here in 2022.
Yeah, and the conditions today, it's going to be really interesting. You know, these guys are all so talented, and they ride this stuff on a regular basis, but there's still something about, you know, the mud condition. I remember back in the day, Scotty Plessner, that kid, he could really ride the mud. On a day like today, he would just be grinning ear to ear. And that's another big thing on a day like today. The guys that, you know, you have those guys, oh, it's muddy, I don't know, another lap. And then you got guys who are like, it's muddy. This is my day. You know, the conditions get tough and technical, and I think that's, you know, I expect to see a lot of guys out of like a Grant Baylor today too, because of
absolutely.
You know, and Jordan Ashburn, he really thrives in these conditions. You know, you look at the list.
And I got to keep going back to Evan Smith. I'm sorry. I mean, there's something about this guy. He's kind of an unknown variable. Not, I mean, in a sense. I mean, we've seen him ride. We've seen what he's capable of doing, and we know that he's a fast guy. But like you said, he could be one of those guys that, you know, the mud is it, and even if he's not even thinking that, it might just be falling in his favor today, being only 7 seconds off the pace of the leaders right now.
Yep. Yeah, and with so much stuff going on up at the front of the pack, and even in the XC2 class, you know, Evan, this is a chance for him. Sometimes you have that one great ride, things go your way, and it just turns your whole career around. And you know, that could be cool to see him have just a ride like that today. And it'd be neat too, because Rodney Smith from Beta is here today, and Rodney, a multi-time GNCC champion, has won this race before. So it'd be good to have a great ride when one of your big bosses is here.
Oh, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And he's certainly in the spotlight right now. Strang Russell, Jordan Ashburn. This is your physical rundown. Trevor Bollinger in the number 4 spot. Lane Michael in the number 5 position. Lane himself also having some roughness at the beginning of the season, but fortunately it seems like he's bounced back pretty good.
Yeah. You know, we expect big things out of Lane too, because he's been one of those guys just right so close to winning races. And you know, I look for him in this little stretch to step up and do some things. I'm a little surprised right now with Josh Toth being back a little ways back in 9th, even though he's probably pretty close. You know, we say back, but I'd like to see him make a little bit bigger push and kind of get to the front of the pack. And Grant Baylor too. These are really Grant kind of conditions today too, especially with the John Penton section. It's a little more single track, something that Grant is really good at. So we're ready to see how that shapes up. And you know, with the conditions, this running order could change pretty quickly. We get a bad hill in there, get some lappers sideways on it. That could change the running order pretty quickly.
Interestingly, I mean, basically the front 10, the XC1 Pro class was running in a freight train when they came through the finish line. I mean, we're looking at gaps 3, 1.9, 2.1, 2.3, 2. Then we have Josh Toth. That's the biggest gap, 18.5 seconds back. That's where the only gap that I see in that top 10 is right now. And Josh is another one of those riders that in these extreme conditions is a rider that it can play in his favor in sometimes. And even though it doesn't appear to be that right now, he's one of those riders that can turn it around on a day like today.
Yeah, you know, he's from Connecticut up New England. They have a lot of tough conditions like this. Same way with Craig DeLong. And on a day like today, you know, I said he's back there a little ways. You know, I've talked earlier, sometimes situations better be second, but I know when it was muddy like this, I always like to be leading, because when we got to a bad spot, I wanted first choice of lines. You know, sometimes everybody says it's easier to follow,
right,
but I had a lot of confidence in my ability on days like today, and I didn't care what it was like. I wanted to lead. And
well, that's pretty impressive to hear that, because, you know, like you say, there's a lot of folks that like to play a little bit of caution in those situations. And I'm sure you got bit a few times, but at the same time, you probably you made some bigger gains than what you would have lost, honestly.
Yeah, because sometimes you get to a section, and what I try to do sometimes is be creative with my lines, find something, especially once, we got into traffic. Like you get a guy like we're watching right now, he's making up the hill, but he's kind of zigzagging all over the place. And if you can get there through there clean and get that guy between you and the guy behind you, then that's a chance to drop the hammer and get away. And then those guys can't see your lines, what you're picking, what you're doing. And, yeah, on a day like today, I always wanted to be up front, because that way I had better vision. I could see the track better. I could see a situation coming up better. And I, like I said, on days like that, I had a lot of confidence in my ability to pick really good lines and make good decisions, so I wanted the first choice every time I got there.
And obviously, I mean, growing up and racing in this area, this is an area, I mean, we talk about mud, and I heard you talk about Pacific Northwest, and we talk about the New England area and the muds that they have, but the one thing that as well as anyone, there's a uniqueness to the mud, especially right here at the John Penton, and in this area specifically, it seems like, and riders from this area, though other riders have been able to adapt to it, they're really blown away at the consistency of it, because there really doesn't seem to be any of that other than it's slick.
Yeah, the most consistent thing is it's inconsistent. Yeah. But yeah, and you look at the riders, like Jeff Russell, Caleb's dad, was from here, Terry Cunningham, Freddie Andrews, Frank Gallo, going way back a little bit, but there was some unbelievable mud riders from Ohio, and again, to ride good in Ohio, you had to be a good mud rider, you didn't go racing. So there's a big history of that here, and it's cool to see at a race like this, named after the legendary John Penton, that has just done so much for the sport and racers all over the world. It's cool to come back here and and ride a race with his name on it. And I've even heard some people say they want to win this race because of the trophy that you get. It's just amazing.
It is that John Penton, or that Penton motorcycle gas tank that is awarded to the champion here is certainly a great honor, and to have the name stamped on what I would consider, I mean, don't get me wrong, every mud race and every place that you go, but like we say, there's something unique about this one here at Penton, but it has his name on it, and when we come here and we do get these mud races, in any extreme condition that we get here, whether it be heat or whatever the case may be, and even perfect conditions, I mean, this racetrack always seems, it seems, you're in rolling hills in southeastern Ohio. How can it be this challenging?
Well, on a day today with the rain we had, and you see it now, we had the guy stuck kind of in the main line. Now we see guys taking alternate lines. And this is what I think could really change some things up later today. And this is why I always wanted to lead. On days like today, you get here, you see a guy stuck at the bottom, a guy stuck halfway up, and I want to be able to have the first choice of the best line that's left, because you never know what's going to be available, and it makes it difficult on days like today. But the John Penton it's just such a cool race and such a history of Ohio and racing, and that's why we put a big thing with the youth program that KTM does at this event, and it's cool to see all the kids on the Stay 6 out there riding in the Pee Wee class, and it's neat too now, we got Charlie Mullins' boy racing, got Caleb's son racing, and then on the motocross side, Aaron Plessinger, Scott's son, he's doing a bang-up job and stuff, so it's the history around here is really cool, and day like today, if you win today, you did a good job.
You can say something about the soil right now. We talk about how slick it is. As slick as it is, these guys are really getting up this hill pretty good, especially coming out of that lower section and dragging that water up. So that says a little bit. I don't know, I guess momentum maybe has a lot to do with it, and that wheel spin they've got going on there. I mean, there's tricks to this, I'm sure, to make these climbs a little easier, huh? Yeah,
momentum today, that's going to be your biggest friend, because if you're rolling a little bit, again, it keeps your tires cleaned out, and you can roll up, and if you have enough speed, if you get to a nasty log section or a rock or something that you have to back off, you have enough speed where you can roll off, get over that obstacle, and then get back on the throttle again.
And throttle control is probably the most important thing, right?
Yes, today, because like I said, we're going to have so many varied conditions, the nice roll on, roll off, at the throttle, even with the four-strokes, they're very smooth power delivery, but even then, you've got to be precise with your throttle and know when to be on the gas and when to get off the gas. So that's really going to be critical today, and bike setup. And two, another thing is suspension. Today you think you're going to be slogging around through the mud, it's not going to be a deal, but you think about it, your bike's going to be 20 to 30 pounds heavier 10 minutes into the race and when you started. So if you have your sag set perfect when you leave, your bike's going to be a big marshmallow. So you want to stiffen your suspension up so your bike stays up in the stroke and handles this stuff better. So that's a lot of things that amateur riders don't do, is get the correct suspension setting on a day like today.
And that can be the one critical factor in how well you do on the day.
Yes, yeah, it's really important, and it's so underrated because a lot of people think mud conditions, it's a survival,
Right.
which at times it can be, like Crawfordsville last year.
Right.
But this is a little different scenario than that. So a lot of the bike setup, you know, having your goggles ready, having that suspension a little firmer and a little stiffer, the right tire today, you know, you might want to throw in a little bit softer mousse than what you would normally run to get a little bit bigger footprint on the ground. I know some guys on the 250Fs and the 125s will run a 110 tire. You might want to jump up to a 120. So there's a lot of little things you can do here or there. Maybe make your hand guards just a little bit bigger, keep your gloves dry. So there's a lot of little tricks you can do on a day like today to alleviate some problems that could come your way.
And if you do have problems, you got to hope that there's a crowd of people that's around like that we saw there just a few moments ago. Nice crowd out here, even considering the weather conditions. Had a good crowd yesterday for the ATV races, and another phenomenal crowd here on KTM Youth Day.
Yeah, the crowd on a day like today, too, they can, that's the great thing about the spectators at GNCCs. There's a lot of knowledgeable spectators out there, and they won't point you the wrong way at a hill. I mean, they'll do their best, and if you kind of get in a bind, I'm sure they will jump in there and lend a hand and get you to the top or pull you out of a mud hole if that tends to happen to you.
Right. There are those times like at Howard's Hole or something, they might lead you the wrong way and astray, or the 93 river crossings many years ago during Blackwater, but those are kind of a little different scenarios, huh?
Yeah, those are kind of the outliers. Like I said, on a day like today, we have a bunch of great fans here in Ohio that just love GNCC racing, and they want to be a part of it and get in there and see the action, but they are definitely willing to help you out if you get in a bind. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of going on there today, and I see the clouds are getting a little darker again, so we might have another batch of rain coming. So, and that's what makes it tough too, because as this course gets better sometimes,
yeah,
it comes in, drops some rain down, and then all the stuff you learned, now you come around. So that's a thing where, as a rider, you really have to pay attention on what works, what doesn't work. You know, because sometimes the what you think is the slow way around is going to be the fast way because there's traction or something. And so, yeah, you really have to be aware of that. And I know the guys, they get around the course on their bicycles ahead of time, and they pretty much know where to go and where not to go. But still, man, sometimes just a matter of 2 feet is the difference between making a hill or a mud hole or not making it.
Absolutely. 6 inches. I mean, or 3 inches sometimes. I mean, you know, just barely the width of the surface of the tire is, it's remarkable. You know, and another thing is, you know, not only that, but the riders that can find those lines and ride those lines like that, the specific lines that need to be ridden like that, is as impressive as anything. You know, whether it's a skill that is inherent or something that you teach yourself. I've never been able to figure that out. It almost seems like it's an inherent skill more than it is a skill that I mean, people have honed their skills to be able to do it, but I mean, normally the great mud riders are just that. They're born like that.
Yeah, and it's, you know, because I've always done great in the mud in bad conditions, and people ask me all the time, and it's one of those things where there's a lot of feel to it, and again, that comes back to getting your bike set up correctly so you get the correct feel for the motorcycle. And another thing too, it's like, and I learned this as a young kid, we had a guy up my way that just blazingly fast, and he was on a 125 and I was riding 100 at the time, and he come by me just grabbing gears, and I'm like tiptoeing around, you know, but you kind of have to be aggressive but still be careful, you know, because again, if you're a little bit more aggressive, it keeps, you know, your momentum going, so you ride like you normally ride, and it helps keep your tires cleaned out, because that was the biggest thing with the day that I kind of learned that was I saw, you know, he would, like, because there actually is traction in mud certain places, and he would work the edges and stuff and find the traction, and he wasn't in that main rut. So that's where the vision too, again, going back to the goggle conversation we had earlier, if you have really good vision, you can pick those lines out better, where if you've got mud in your eye, your goggles are half covered up and you don't see stuff. But if you, like I said, move over, go inside, outside, do something different to find that traction, and you know, and be aggressive, but not overly aggressive, because, you know, like I said, your bike is set up to work more at that speed. So when you start slowing down and wallowing in the stuff, your bike just doesn't work unless you set it up to do it that way, and then you're not going to win anyways.
Right. So, Yeah, a lot of tricks to the trade, and just a lot of it just experience. You can talk about it all you want, but until you get out there, like Josh Strang here, coming at the 6-mile marker, and make things happen, put it to practice, you really just don't know. And right now, Josh is really putting it to practice. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's opened up a little bit of a gap there and stuff. So, and again too, Josh has success at this track before, so he feels good at a place like this. So whenever you have success at a place, you feel a lot better when you go back there and race again. He's pulled out a little bit of a gap. We've got the rest of the guys starting to go through here.
Ashburn's dropped back a little bit further. That is Baylor now up to the number 4 spot physically on the racetrack. It looks like he's gotten around Lane Michael and possibly Trevor Bollinger. I didn't see Trevor go by. Did you?
No, I did not. Stuff. Yeah, they're kind of getting covered up with mud here. Kind of hard to keep track of the guys a little bit. But yeah, I expected Grant. I think this is kind of in his wheelhouse. A big, strong kid and who's good in more difficult conditions. So, I expect a lot out of Grant today, and hopefully, and it looks like he's starting to go that way. But Josh, he's just up there in front, kind of clicking it off. And if you can get up there front, nobody throwing mud and dirt at you, it makes your day a lot easier too. So, again, another thing I know, Scott Plessner used to do this with Scott Summers. He would just kind of sit in front of Scott. When he'd get to a mud hole, he'd kind of slow down and just grab a handful of clutch. And he figured, Scott was on that big XR 600, and so he just wanted to make him heavier and heavier. And here we have Evan Smith. He's rolling up there pretty good.
Yep, so not far behind that front packer rider, Evan Smith, physically on the track. And more impressively, I think, is maybe the gap that is amassing between himself and second place rider. I think may still be Ryder Lafferty there at last check 18 seconds, and at least that, if not a little more right now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Evan, he's having a great ride today, and too, Ryder Lafferty. Ryder just went by there. He's been on a roll lately. He's had some great results both in GNCCs and Enduros, so he's getting his confidence up there. And I know his Uncle Mike's really proud of him and the whole family, and Mike's been coaching him up a little bit, but Mike kind of like his dad, and you know how it is, you don't listen to your dad. So even though he should, Mike's won a race or two in his day.
1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, yep.
He's got a couple championships to his credit too, I guess. Huh?
Well, between you, me, and him, we got 8 national enduro championships between the 3 of us.
Exactly, absolutely. And he carries all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So. Yeah, watching now, this 6-mile marker, I'm not sure exactly. I was listening to the course description, but what got me most, and I kind of dwindled off in my mind and listening to the course description that Ryan Eccles was giving. He goes, the statement that he made when he first came to the podium was, well, we're going to send them out there. Don't know how many are going to make it back, but we're headed that way. And I was like, man, this sounds like a mission to space or something like that. I mean, these guys are going, he's like, yeah, he says kind of like more like Mars. so I said, we'll ask the winner today, is there water on Mars? The way he talked, he said, with the rain coming and stuff, that some of those areas out in that John Penton section, especially the open field sections, those flat sections, they're pretty slick out there. So he says it's going to be interesting to see what the day does bring when it's all said and done. But, if things continue like they are, I mean, I haven't really seen a lot of rainfall or really any rainfall for a little bit now. So hopefully that means that conditions as they run over are starting to tack up a little bit out there.
Yeah, and you mentioned the John Penton section again, and that's kind of one of the really cool things about this racetrack is the majority of the track is, exposed dirt, the tree roots, the rocks, everything that they're used to on a regular basis. Then they jump into the John Penton section, and it's had no traffic on it, and they're the first ones that get to see it. And we got guys coming into the gas here. That's another thing. The pit crews are going to be in high demand today. You see them; they got the pressure washers out.
Yeah,
that didn't happen back in the old day. The quick fills, the goggles, a drink. So that's a full stop shop there. You get a wash and that's Ricky Russell there and stuff. He's having a good day today, and I think these conditions, even if we were not, in the Pacific Northwest, Jordan Ashburn, Trevor Bollinger, I'm sorry.
Trevor Bollinger is in now, so he didn't fall back nearly as far as what I thought he had. Maybe we missed him going by there just a moment ago, but did you notice they didn't really do a lot of power washing on him, maybe not taking on as much mud, but we know that is a really good trick for these guys to help to keep their machines from overheating. The idea behind that was obviously getting some of that mud out of there, and I'm sure he ate laid a lot of roost from Josh Strang, as I'm sure there's been a lot of battles between them over the course of this race course.
Yep. Yeah, you can see too. Grant's actually kind of been in here a little longer than I thought he would be. They kind of took a little extra time, but you know, that might pay off in the long run. But
right.
See, he's going for the roll-offs, no tear-offs there. He's got the extensions on his hand guards. They spent a little extra time getting the radiators cleaned out there. So, you know, hopefully now Grant will be free and clear. Now that they're spread out a little bit, you're not going to have the battles that you did early on. But that's the thing I like about what Josh did. He got that whole shot, clear vision, clear track. You know, his bike's staying lighter, cleaner, and everything. We got Lane Michael. Is that Lane right there?
Yep.
Yep. Again, he's getting the pressure washer job, the quick fill, the goggles. Man, this is the 100% full service stop today.
So in and out, full pit stops. And, you know, like you said there, you know, some of these pit stops are a little more extended, but again, it could pay huge dividends. Knock that extra heavy mud off there. It's going to keep the bike maybe from overheating. There's Craig DeLong making his way in now. Keep the bikes from overheating and, you know, stalling out on the, you know, late in the race or something like that. So it's almost a necessity. It's something like almost like if you're in NASCAR, you have to change the tires at some point. On the mud race day, on a day like today, you think you almost have to get the mud out of the radiator.
Yep. Yeah, to keep that bike, think about the big picture, the long game, because, I mean, by the time they dump gas and everything in there, if they've got the guys with the pressure washer, it doesn't take them any extra time to clean them up. But they, you know, they have the tools, the technology, so they're using everything to their advantage. Yeah, because like I said, right now, Josh Strang, he's the only one that hadn't gotten any mud at him. Is that Wiseco there?
I'm not sure. I can't tell if that's Wiseco. I believe it might be because, no, that's a red background, so that might be Lane Michael we're looking at.
No, Lane already went through, I thought.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. We already had Lane go through, unless he went through and had something
back,
wrong and he had to circle back. So, he looks like he's hurt. Or something's going on there. He bent over, so that could be Lane.
You know,
I can't make out the number.
And these pit areas might be some of the slickest areas on the racetrack too, to be honest with you, because they've had some heavy traffic through there. So it wouldn't be surprising to think that it will wash out, and something like that could happen. So Mikey Wayne's going to be heading down there to find out what's going on as we head on over to the Monster Mile and check in, see what's going on down there right now. And again, a very interesting part of the racetrack. It could lend itself to be a maker or breaker of sorts, depending on what's going on. Crowd having a good time out here today, that's for sure. And it looks like there's a couple different options out here for this particular hill as well, Mark.
Yeah, usually on a place that's this bad, they'll have your main lines all set up and organized, and then if there is some alternate lines, they make them a little bit longer. So if you if you're willing to take the risk, then you'll be rewarded by going the shorter, faster way.
All right.
But if it gets really bad, sometimes it's a little safer to, not for the pros, but for the other guys, they might want to take a little bit that alternate.
All right, we see that looks like Lane might not doing so well right now, and Mikey Waynes, what's going on?
Definitely got some fuel on the one area you do not want fuel. So not sure the extent. We're kind of hanging back, not laughing, but giving Lane Michael some privacy right now, and we'll see how this one sorts out. Not good news, though.
Wow. And teammate Stu Baylor and several other riders, I'm sure, have had that happen. And I tell you, Mark, the higher octanes the fuels these guys are running, man. I mean, it's not like dumping the old pump gas in your lap like it used to be, man. I mean, this stuff, it really... the boys notice it real fast. Well, and your legs, they chafe on the inside. I mean, there's so many things that go on there.
Well, they run race gas in the bike because it burns really good. That's all I'm going to say. But,
and we can see it does just exactly that. Burns really, really, really bad in his case, that's for sure. And like we said, we've seen that happen before. So he was, at least he turned around and came right back to the pits. Last year, I think that happened, or year before, I can't remember. Stu Baylor had that happen, and he literally laid face down in a puddle of water. You could see people see it. Baylor laying down, spread eagle in a puddle of water, and they thought he was hurt, and then realizing and recognizing what happened. So, yeah, that's a tough one, and that's a tough break there for Lane because he really had some good momentum going on today, and this could have been a good point day for him, a good confidence day for him. It could have been one of those key days that helps you make that step further.
And, you know, that could be conditions related because with all the mud and slop we have when they were doing the quick fill, maybe some mud dirt got in there and held the dry brake open.
Absolutely.
And that's probably what happened to Lane. It was condition related, not, you know, nothing that his pit did wrong. So, and, you know, looking back at Lane today, that's another thing that's really going to be important to Bollinger and to Ashburn today, because those guys, they can't make mistakes right now. If something like that goes wrong, they got to do something, whatever they can to avoid the mistake. And if it does happen, you got to get through it as quick as you can, because they cannot, you know, let this, you know, gift that they've been given go, you know, unopened.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to give it everything and all, and no matter what cards you're dealt, you got to play them, man, and you got to hope for the best. And you know, I think all in all, most people are going to come out of this one pretty good. I mean, I think everyone realizing, recognizing, and they've raced these conditions here at John Penton, so it's not something that they're totally, completely surprised about. But it's still a challenge, you know, nonetheless.
Oh, it's, you know, every track, their conditions are, you know, everybody has to, you know, the old saying, everybody rides the same race course, but there's a different skill set for whether it's hard and fast and dusty or sandy or, you know, rocky or muddy conditions like this. Everybody has to adapt and be ready for it. And when you're at this level, you're good at all these conditions. It's just the little small things that makes the guy, you know, that separates these guys. But you know, going back to what I said, you know, Bollinger, DeLong, Ashburn, they cannot let days like today get away from them. You know, if they have an issue like what we just saw, you know, they got to tough it out, and they got to, you know, think of the big picture. I know it's not easy. It's easy to say that here,
right?
But I've been there, and it's like, I've had enough today, you know, and stuff. So, you know, like this guy we see over here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're.
You know, yeah, these hills too, they get wide. The longer we go today, the wider these hills get.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too that the guys really have to be aware of. Is I always talk about vision is just the key on a day like today, to see where to go, where not to go. And even if you're in a line that you like, you know, you still got to kind of look out of the corner of your eye, because the next lap you come around, that guy might be sitting there, or, you know, 100 guys have gone through the line you went through, and it's just not usable when you come around the next lap.
Absolutely.
So on a day like today, you know, you see this, I mean, you know, how do you figure out where to go in a situation like this when you're riding through at top speed? How do you pick up the other line? But it's amazing, you know, like Mike Lafferty too, you know, even though he didn't win, he won all those Enduro championships, but that's something that Mike was just amazing at, was able to see stuff. You see Josh too, he can't come through there, man, he had his line picked out, he nailed it. Ricky Russell has kind of got him back a little bit closer here, so you know, and that's the thing too, on a cool, and here's Ashburn, so wow, or is that Bollinger?
That's Bollinger, I believe.
Okay, so
maybe, let's see, I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, I think that was Bollinger and stuff, but you know, the cool thing about a day like today is all these guys now with Ben gone, and Ben's been winning, you know, by big margin too, and Grant, he's on a roll, because remember, Grant spent a little extra time in the pits, longer than we thought he should be in there, but
that puts him in fourth, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
Yep. But I think now everybody, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys, what their strategy is like on a day like today. You see Ricky Russell right behind our leader there. So
4 seconds is the separation right now. We'll get a confirmation on who that third place ride is.
That's Bollinger there.
That is Bollinger.
Yep. So Bollinger is definitely, he started back away, so he's been chipping his way. And he's done that the last couple races. He hasn't been up front off the start. He's been back there, you know, that 8th, 9th, 10th place, and keeps chipping away. And I know at Crawfordsville 2 weeks ago, he snagged second overall, like within a mile of the finish. So, and then here comes Grant. So Grant's flicking him off here and chipping away at it.
25-second gap back to Grant Baylor. There's 10 seconds between first and third right now. Ricky Russell's 4 seconds back, and there's 6 seconds back to Trevor Bollinger, then 25 seconds back to Grant Baylor.
Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be neat to watch these guys race today, and like I said, who's going to, you know, take that spot that Ben has been occupying all season so far. And again, you know, you see these guys pick lines, and at the speed they're going, it's like, how do you see stuff like that? But again, it's something you do week in, week out, you practice, and it's just kind of a skill and a gift sometimes.
Jordan Ashburn has checked in the number 5 position. For those wondering, he's about 7 seconds behind Grant Baylor, so maybe taking a little extra time in the pits himself out there. And again, it may have taken time, but it may pay dividends in the end.
Yep. Yeah, so like I said, all the guys that kind of need to be up there, or with you know, with Bollinger and Ashburn, those are the two guys that really need to make some big point hauls here in these next 3 rounds. And then again, guys like Josh Strang, he's in there as a spoiler. You know, he just wants to win races from here on out.
Well, this FMF PowerPoint, pretty exciting, no doubt. That's a pretty good climb. That's almost a wall that they're climbing up there. In these conditions, I think is more impressive. You know, looking at that right now, the riders that have tried it and do try it, and this is an option line from what I'm understanding. They can go around this if they so choose to do, and but looks like the riders that are going up they're committing and they're doing all right.
Yeah, it's a commitment thing, and these guys, you know, all the top guys, they're so good at this stuff. Where you struggle in a situation like this is we get up there and somebody gets hung up and ruins your drive, your momentum, because momentum on a day like today, that's your best friend. And so you got to make that corner at the bottom, get all set up, get that good initial drive, and then once you get that, you'll be to the top in no time.
Just kind of sitting. Whoa, that looks like a fun hill climb. Wow. Some guys really getting some launch up that hill right there. There's a couple of spots that, you know, depending on where you hit it, you can literally leap to the top of the hill, it looks like.
Yeah, we've got those tree roots exposed at the top, and again, that's something, as long as you get square at the bottom, hit them square on, you'll be fine. It's when they're at an angle and you hit them, that's when it doesn't end well for you. But I think I saw too, Josh Toth has moved up a little bit. He's kind of up in that 7th place, I think, position now, so he's moved up a few spots, and I think Craig DeLong also has bumped up there a little bit.
While Lyndon Snodgrass, by the way, has taken over the lead in the XC2 class. He is now running 6th overall, turning a 37:43 lap time that time around, and if you look at elapsed time right now, he's about 17 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn on adjusted time. Ashburn dropping his lap time to a 38:05, so he lost about 35 seconds on whatever it was that he did. So that leads me to believe, honestly, that it might have been something even extra that they did in their pit stop that, like, you know, we'll see, especially as the race wears on, that might bode better for him in the end. And, you know, it goes to show, you know, sometimes, you know, the rabbit and the hare kind of idea, you know, and it's, you got to be prepared, I think.
Yeah. And that's what I thought would be so interesting for today was, you know, because Ben has pretty much set the pace all year, so the guys have just been chasing him. Mm-hmm. And now with the rabbit gone for the day, you know, who's going to, you know, I know all these guys are professionals, they know what to do, but it'd be interesting when they're so used to just, okay, I got to beat Ben. If Ben gets started, I got to stay with Ben. I got to stay with Ben. I got to stay with Ben. Now that he's not here,
they don't got to stay with Ben.
They don't got to stay with Ben. So do they back it down just a little bit and ride at a pace that
is comfortable?
That's comfortable with him, you know, at 90-95%. Where when they were chasing Ben, they might have had to ride 98%.
Right.
You know, and that's when you have more mistakes. So today, does the whole group ride at their pace instead of Ben's pace? And then that makes for a more interesting day. Everybody stays a little closer. We've seen a tight pack at the front of the group today so far. So is that playing into things?
Absolutely. And again, you can't take away the conditions and what they're doing as well. So there's a lot of variables in this round. And that, again, I always love coming to the John Penton. There's something unique to me, and I don't know if it's because, you know, I just feel that way or not, but I'll tell you right now, we're getting an update on what's going on down in the pits with Mikey Waynes.
Hey, thanks, guys. Down here in the AmPro Yamaha pits, you can see they're getting the bike ready for Lane Michael. Lane Michael's getting himself geared back up. Had a quick chance to speak with him for a minute. He's in good spirits now. Just for those out there wondering, milk is a neutralizer. Mustard is a neutralizer. And I will leave it at that and send it back to you guys.
All right. Wow. Good to know that they were able to neutralize the situation, so to speak. And, you know, and again, you know, it's been an extended period of time in the pits. But with these conditions and the way things are going, Lane get out, get on a good roll, and he can make up some time out there. And especially with some of those guys that, you know, they didn't take the extra. I mean, think about this. They took a little extra time. They got a lot of mud off his bike. He's starting basically with almost a fresh bike. It doesn't have the heat on it, and, you know, it doesn't have the weight on it. So he gets to kind of start all over in a way. So he might have a little better momentum right now for as we head into this portion of the race. So that might bode better, or at least good for him in that situation where he might be able to bridge some of the gap.
And also, he's allowed to go back to the course where he came off the course. He doesn't have to rewrite everything he rode before he figured out his problem.
Right.
So, you know, you think, oh, he's got to ride an extra mile or two or whatever it was. No, he can go straight back to where he came off, re-enter the course there, and pick up and start picking guys off and working his way up towards the front.
Well, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on him to find out how that's all going to take place. And again, taking a look at the top 10 as we see it sometimes popping up on your leaderboard there on the left. But Josh Strang, Ricky Russell, Trevor Bollinger, Grant Baylor, Jordan Ashburn, your top 5. They're XC1 Pro, and then a few seconds back in 6th place, now leading the XC2 250 Pro class, Lyndon Snodgrass. Evan Smith now dropping back to 2nd. Cody Barnes on that Phoenix Racing Honda running in the number 8 spot overall, 3rd in class. Mike Witkowski is 4th in class, 9th overall. Ryder Lafferty 5th in class and 10th overall. Craig DeLong, by the way, 6th in class of the XC1. He's back in 11th, and Josh Toth 7th in class is 12th overall.
Well, it looks like we're starting to get some separation up there in the XC1, and then the XC2, man, that has been a big flop because it's funny, Ryder Lafferty stayed in 10th overall, but he went from 2nd in the class to 5th in the class. So he's staying consistent, just overall-wise, but class-wise, not so much.
And again, you know, last time around we were seeing 2, you know, like I said, it was 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, 2, 2, maybe a 4, and then it was all the way back to like 8th place, and then we saw that, I think it was an 18-second gap back to Craig DeLong at that particular point. This time around, the gap's 4, 6, 25, 7.5, and then looks like another 7.6, and then another almost 25 seconds. So, I mean, it has spread out quite a bit. And that pit stop changed some things up too, I think.
Yeah, the pit stops were weird because, you know, Grant, I was kind of worried about him because it seemed like he stayed there for a while, but Grant moved up quite a bit. So, you know, maybe he's got some stuff figured out on the track. Things are, and Grant's kind of been like that too. He's not always the fastest starter, but once he gets rolling, he stays rolling. So it'll be interesting to see him if he can keep moving. And because the guys are so close, that's always nice when you're racing. You know, when you end up by yourself, sometimes, you know, like, and you're not making up any ground, you're not losing any ground, it can be a struggle. But now that those guys are so close, you've got somebody to race with, and that's always fun and exciting, and it keeps you motivated. So hopefully those front guys will stay there, and we can see an exciting finish today.
Absolutely. And speaking of Baylor, Baylor does have credit for a win here at the John Penton a few years ago. One that he doesn't necessarily lay claims to. You know, he says, you know, it was a situation and a circumstance where some things had happened, and he just got the win, the overall. And he's always said, you know, he never felt like that was a win, even though it says it on paper, and even though historically that's what it is. He says it never felt like the win. Then when he got the season opening win at Big Buck GNCC, that changed things up. And for him, I think it would be kind of neat, and not saying he's going to be able to bridge the gap, because when you it is only about 40 seconds that we're looking at between he and Josh Strang whenever they checked in at the finish line. So, I mean, if he was were able to win this race and win one at John Penton, another one at John Penton, you know that would be a pretty good thing for him, I would almost have to think.
And the thing he's got going for him is we see our 2 leaders go by, and they're just nose to tail right there.
Absolutely.
The 2 guys up front, you know, is that Bollinger just went by in 3rd?
I'm not sure if that was him or this.
Or this Bollinger stuff. But yeah, with this mud today, it makes tough. But the 2 guys that are 1 and 2 right now, they're coming back from injuries. So maybe, you know, with Grant riding along, he should be 100%. That we get into that last hour, he'll be a little stronger to finish this thing off.
And honestly, Grant always seems to be a little stronger in the last hour than most riders anyway, even in these adverse conditions. With the momentum, and when you see Grant getting momentum up like this, I mean, we are approaching the hour-and-a-half mark right now, and this is when you see Grant getting his speed up and his momentum up. It's usually about this time, you know, because we're like, oh, we're starting to notice that something's going on there. By the 2-hour mark, you're kind of like scratching your head and saying, wow, man, how's he pulling that out? And then sometimes by the end of hour 3, you're just blown away at what he's capable of doing. Not so much and so often as he would like him, and it has been done in the past. But when he does it, and when he's been able to do it, it's pretty impressive. Well, right now it is Josh Strang leading Ricky Russell, Trevor Bollinger, Grant Baylor, and Jordan Ashburn, your top 5 overall here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. It's a nasty one, it's a challenging one, but it's a good one, folks. Stick around. Who's going to come out on top? GNCC Live continues after this.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
This week in Yamaha history. It was May 10th, 2008, and the hills of southeastern Ohio were aligned with race legends like William Yoakley, Matt Smiley, Brian Baker, Ohio's Brandon Summers, Taylor Kaiser, Chris Bithell, and many, many more. Conditions were near perfect this late spring day as Ohio and Yamaha rider Brandon Summers got off to the early lead. Midway through lap 1, however, after lots of lead changes, the defending champion, Bill Balance, had taken the Big Blue Machine to the front of the pack. But Adam McGill was close behind and would take over on lap 2. After dropping to third on lap 2 and only 2 seconds off the leader, Balance set out on a mission to take the win. A late race charge by Adam McGill, closing a gap of 15 seconds down to just 3 seconds on Balance, was not enough. All the glory went to Balance that day as he celebrated his 64th of 67 career wins on his way home to the 9th and final championship. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com. where family fun begins.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Mark Hyde and, of course, Mikey Waynes out and about as we take a look back to last year in our specialized race recap as we got off and rolling in this one. Mark, a little different weather conditions. Ricky Russell up front in this one, and we had Stu Baylor in this one as well. And it looks like we had some rain, obviously, coming into this one, but perfect conditions as far as John Penton is concerned, as far as I can see it.
Yeah, you can really tell the difference. We can see the number plates, we can see the riding gear, we can see the bikes, and we can see Josh Strang. He's third there, but he's leading the pack today, and hopefully looking for a way to turn his season around.
Ben Kelly, if you remember, leading the points here about midway point last year as well, and Stu Baylor amassing a lot of wins. And with all these riders up front like this, we knew we were on, in store for an on the edge of our seats kind of race that day, and there's no doubt about it. And things changed around a little bit. Obviously, we saw Ricky Russell drop back a little bit. Ben Kelly becoming a factor in this one, I think, as the day progressed. But, you know, you never can count out the freight train. This guy always rides strong, but there's something about Ohio, even for an Australian. Josh Strang seems to do well here no matter the conditions.
Yeah, Josh, you know, he's a great all-around rider, but I think he's, done this for so many years, he just knows how to get it done. And today I think will be really interesting because you've got him and Ricky Russell up front right now. Josh has come back from injury. Ricky's kind of come back. Josh has won races before, so he knows how to do it. Ricky's never won a GNCC before. He's been close so many times. So, and then in third place, you've got Bollinger, who has the guy, the top three. He's the one with the most to gain today. So, he is probably super motivated out there. And when we look back at his results from the last 3 rounds, he started off kind of slow, but he's gone 3-2-2. So of the guys in the title fight, he's the hot commodity right now.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, made the statement, I'm back. And whenever a rider, and he wasn't saying it boisterous, like in a way that he was just trying to get in anyone's face. What he was saying is, I finally feel like me again. That was what I took exactly away from that, and it's good to see that. It was good to see it in his eyes. It's good to see it in his demeanor. You could tell the confidence was definitely there. By the way, Josh Strang won last year. Ben Kelly got second. Baylor got third. Ricky Russell finished up fourth just off the podium. Josh Toth rounded out the top 5, so it gives you an idea. So we are no Ben Kelly. no Stu Baylor. And Josh is the one that seems to be struggling of the riders that are back with us here today, it looks like a little bit. And, you know, he's all the way back in 12th place overall when we look at the big picture. Now, that's like 7th, I think, in class, but on time adjustments and on a day like today, that bumps him back quite a bit as far as championship points are concerned.
Yeah, that's not doing him any favors. And in Bollinger, he's the one kind of putting together. And don't forget, too, Trevor, he won an XC2 title.
Yes.
So he is familiar with winning GNCCs, not at the top level, but really, really close to that level. And like I said, he and Ashburn are the two with the most on the line today.
Absolutely. And Jordan, you know, a rider that, you know, hasn't necessarily been in the limelight a lot, but he's just been so doggone consistent and been able to make things happen. And as much as Jordan likes the mud right now, Jordan all the way back in the number 5 position, and we haven't really had a big chance to talk about him. But, you know, what you keep alluding to, Mark, and the fact that Trevor Bollinger has a lot to gain here, especially with what he's got going on right now. You know, he moves up a position in points if things finish the way they are right now, because he's 2 positions ahead of Jordan Ashburn. There's only 1 point to separate them in 2nd and 3rd right now. So, you know, as long as he stays there and it finishes like this, you know, he's still got a good momentum going on. But the thing that, I'm talking about Grant Baylor. I don't think he's done. We talked about that off the show there during the break a few moments ago. And again, I don't think that Trevor Bollinger's done. I don't think Ricky Russell's done. And honestly, I don't think we've seen all that Josh Strang has had to give just yet. I think, normally in this 3rd hour, where we're an hour and a half, we're looking at the 2nd hour right now, an hour and 37 minutes or so into this race, looking at that 2nd hour. It's almost as though we still have another race to run with these guys, and it's reformulating right before our very eyes.
Yeah, and I'd be really interested to keep an eye on the lap times to see where they go, because I know 2 weeks ago we were in Crawfordsville, and at the halfway point, the guys in 2nd, 3rd, they dropped their lap times and put some time on Ben, and then the next lap Ben dropped the hammer, and the lap times went the total opposite. And that's why I was curious today to see how harder is Josh Strang pushing it. Is he just in front, controlling the race, controlling the pace, knowing like, hey, that last hour I got to have something left, and because Ben's not here, I don't have to go as fast as we have been going the first 6 rounds. So there's a lot of strategy up there, and Josh is really good at that. He's won a championship and won a lot of races.
And you pointed out something that could be critical in this race in that 3rd hour as well, about the endurance and the fact that Josh Strang shortly, just returned from injury not too long ago. Ricky Russell, another rider, both those riders, and even Trevor Bollinger, those guys. But obviously Bollinger, he's back up to speed. He feels, I'm back. He's already made that statement. So now we wonder, Josh Strang and Ricky Russell, are they back, or are they ready to go the distance today?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how it plays out, and luckily today, even though actually the sun might be peeking out right now a little bit, but
that's not a good sign.
Yeah, yesterday we had temperatures in the 90s.
Yeah.
So at least today with the rain and everything, it cooled everything off. So even though you're battling with the mud, you're not battling with 90-degree weather. So that's going to be a huge help for the guys out there on the race course today. So that'll make their fitness last a little bit longer. This last hour will be very interesting because of all the different reasons people have to win today. And here we have Josh Strang coming through on cue, and look, he's up on the pegs, riding super smooth. He's actually pulled out a little bit on Ricky Russell here now.
Has.
So, because they were like 4 seconds apart the last time we saw them, and now Josh is. And again, on a day like today, Ricky might not be riding any slower. He just maybe got hung up on a hill here or there. Something happened with the lap rider, and
seems to still be riding with some fever there.
Yeah, Ricky's going by right there. And
so like you said, could have been stuck on a hill, maybe got behind some lap traffic, and there's Jordan Ashburn there, it looks. Or
no,
that was
Bollinger should be our next guy in line.
You're right. Sorry.
And actually, he's actually pulled out on Trevor a little bit, because Trevor was only about 6 seconds behind him the last time they checked in. So the gap has widened a little bit at the front of the pack as Josh. And then that's the thing today, even though it's a really difficult course, and if you can ride like Josh is riding right now, super smooth on the pegs, not using energy, you can ride these conditions all day. And so that makes a big difference. So if you fall down, get your gloves muddy, you can't hold on. you know, it just, one little mistake can just snowball on you and just make your day so much worse. So that's another thing today, too. If you do happen to have a problem, we're getting a great overhead shot. You can see the ruts form down there, and you know, you come up like Supercross track, you come up and jump like, which rut do I hit? You know, because none of them are good. But yeah, that's some great. I love that footage there. We see Josh. I mean, he's just rolling through there really nice and smooth, and just clicking off his miles here. And if he can keep doing that, again, keeps your energy level at a good spot, so he's not really using a lot of energy. If you get off in the wrong rut and have to dog paddle and push and slide around, and that's just not a good way to be on a day like today. If you can keep your momentum going. See how he kept some nice speed through that corner, and you saw how shiny the dirt was. So that's another thing. Sometimes, again, when you get in stuff like this, you want to stay away from the shiny stuff. And see how he cut right across right there? That was a beautiful move by Josh right there. He got into some good traction. Like I said, there is traction in mud. You just got to find it. Again, squared it off, got into where there's fresh dirt, no polished surfaces. So you can tell some racecraft right there.
I am really impressed with what I'm seeing right now. I mean, you know, I really love these overhead shots. I love the battles we see, the rides that we get. But in these conditions, the way that Josh is handling it, perfectly executing every move so far, it seems like.
Yeah, you can see him working the edges here, inside, outside. That's exactly what you want to do on a day like today. And that just shows you what a smart rider Josh is. And he might know, like, you know, he won't tell you, but hey, I'm not 100% health-wise, but I can make it up by my racecraft. And that's that section right there. You just saw a beautiful example of a very talented rider.
Absolutely, and I have to think that even as aggressive as Ricky Russell was looking, coming through that last shot that we saw a few moments ago in the woods, that ride right there, that's going to be hard to match for anybody.
Yep. And you know, another thing like that too, and I used to do this, all the good riders used to do that, is sometimes you wouldn't do that when the guy's behind you, but once you know you have a little bit of gap, you know you have lines that you're saving. And now that Josh has a gap, he knows Ricky can't see him. Now he might go into that bag of tricks like, I'm going here, I'm going there. And, you know, and then all of a sudden Ricky goes, what happened to Josh? Where'd he go? Because he's in the ruts. You know, we haven't seen him yet, so I can't say for sure. But, you know, if he's riding that main line, you know, just hitting all the holes, all the slick spots where he's not getting the traction that we see. But, you know, Ricky's a great rider, too. And you see there, Josh, I think that's one of those corners Josh squared and got on inside the grass where there was better traction. And you can see Ricky, he's out in the main line where it gets super polished and you just can't get that acceleration. It's just a fraction here, a fraction there, but at the end of the lap, it's a big jump.
It adds up, no doubt. Through the, was that the auxiliary pro pits, I believe the riders are going through. As we watch now Ricky Russell on camera.
Yeah, they're right coming into the pro pits right now. Stuff. So, but yeah, Ricky has really stepped his game up there. That's
Thad Duvall, yeah.
Thad Duvall, he's cheering on everybody out there. You know, but that's a kid that's got to be bummed out. You talk about being hurt at a wrong time.
Right.
Oh, I feel so bad for Thad. You know, kind of like the Kevin Windham to Ricky Carmichael. You know, him and Caleb. Oh, there's Grant. Like I said, now, have we seen Bollinger go by yet, or did we miss him? Boy, you were right on your Grant call. You said the Grizzly was hungry and he was coming after some boys. So there's Bollinger right there and stuff. So yeah, we have some movement on the track, and like I said, you're going to have a lot of that on a day like today. And is that Ashburn that pulled into the pits for some goggles?
Yep, absolutely, yep.
So
Ashburn's still not out of this one either. I mean, he's not. I mean, Josh and Ricky are, you know, kind of ahead right now. But again, you know, we're still haven't even hit that 2-hour mark. We're at an hour and 45 minutes basically as we look at the clock.
Yeah, and it's neat too because these guys, they're still together. You know, it's great. Like I said, when you have somebody right here's Josh Toth. Josh looks like he's kind of picked it up. He's not that far behind Grant. You know, on that, you know, time-wise, that wasn't a long section from where they were to where he was. So. Maybe Josh has kind of figured some things out and getting in a groove. And well, I know at the Enduro last week he was that way. He struggled early on, and then the last half of the race he really picked his pace up and got after it. So hopefully he can do that here today, and these guys can all work together and bunch that front group up so we have some great racing to watch.
I'm not sure exactly who that was, but that was a pretty talented bottle handoff right there. I got to give him that.
Yeah, that's the thing. The pit crews, they have gotten their strategies down. They do some amazing things, and to keep these guys going. And And now the guys are all so good and so close. Every little bit helps. And you know, when you have guys on your side, it makes a big difference. It really motivates you. And when you know those guys are working hard for you, you can't help but do the same.
Well, Mikey Waynes, as we look down over the pits from high above, Mikey Waynes is down inside those pits as well, and I believe he's got our morning overall race winner and WXC winner, Taylor Jones, with him.
Hey, you are correct. Taylor Jones, Pippi, as we've been calling her, okay? We got the pigtails going on. Taylor Jones, talk to us. A win here today makes you again back in the points lead.
Yeah, it's been crazy tight this first half of the season, but yeah, today I took it back. Corey took it last round, so I was pumped to grab the win. It was super gnarly out there, especially at the end when the rain came. It got so slippery, but these guys, I don't know, it must be gnarly because that rain that came, it just made it like ice. So it was a good day though.
It was a good day. Hey, you needed that win today. You and Corey Steed kind of going back and forth a little bit this year. Now, Taylor, you got the most wins this season, 3. We went into the last race. Corey Steed said, hey, I'm taking that points lead back. But you come out here swinging today. So are we going to see this back and forth, or is it going to be the Taylor Jones show moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to make it the Taylor Jones show, but these girls are on fire. Every single round, anybody lining up could take the win. But let's see what we can do and see if Taylor can come out swinging and show them how the old people do it.
The old people. All right, listen, if Taylor Jones is old, I don't know what that makes me, but there you go, your winner of the Wiseco John Penton, Taylor Jones.
Well, I'll tell you, just talking there, Mark, our WXC class and what we've seen in women's class racing is, I never anticipated. I remember the days of Mandy Maston and Heidi Duchette and a few others that would race, you know, and they raced their hearts out. And they had some really great championship battles and stuff. And then, you know, we saw the movement of KTM bringing in a few riders, and then all of a sudden, we've got a full women's class, a professional women's class, basically. That is, I mean, unbelievable, and they're getting attention, I think, worldwide. And it's not only the WXC, but it's the women's class. It's the women's 30-plus class. It's the girls' class. It's the girls' senior. I mean, there's so many different, and all the way down to the 50 cc's, the micro classes. I mean, there's so much participation. I mean, it's never been like this before, and the talent and the racing that we get to see is just, I mean, I love what GNCC is doing for racing all around, and that women's class is really bringing that morning class race to a whole different level on both 2 and 4 wheels. I mean, you look at the ATVs on Saturday, it's so much fun to go out. They bring a lot of excitement to the racing for sure. It's very competitive.
Yeah, I remember when Maria Forsberg, we brought her,
right.
KTM brought her back here to do the series, and she really upped the game and everything. And then you saw what Brandy Richards did at 6 days last year. That was just phenomenal. Won every test all week. Never been done by anybody. And I don't care who you are, whether it's girls, boys, it doesn't matter.
Right.
To go 6 days and never lose a test. And you know, it's not like some of the tests, you know, are only like 8 minutes long. So, you know, a little fall here or there cost you the test, and she never missed a beat, and that was just phenomenal. And you know, I used to race the morning race, you know, when I was mechanicing for Rodney Smith, you know, and you'd see glimpses here and there, but the level that they're going at now is just unbelievable, and it's so cool to see and have them battling out there, and you know, when Sipes and Pastrana got smoked by them, amazing.
You know, I enjoy the 65cc girls class.
Yep.
I mean, there's a little girl, Paisley Harris, and there's several girls, but there's a little girl, Paisley Harris. I watched her a lot in the MSXCs as well. She is a ball of fire. She goes, I mean, races the boys, races the girls, whatever she's racing, whoever she's on fire, man. I mean, it's the future is bright. I'll tell you that.
Yep. Yeah, because at the Stasic race at Indiana, the KTM Stasic race, there was a girl won the oldest class division, and she put the hammer on those guys. It was amazing, and the way she rode, like she was squaring guys up and doing stuff that you're like, wow, for a 6-7-year-old girl, that was amazing. So it's really cool to see, and the youth effort that you know, KTM and the GNCC series is putting together with the Stasic races,
yes.
the micros. We've seen such a growth spurt in that area of racing. It's just phenomenal. And, you know, back when I was a kid, that's the way it was. So it's cool to see. I hope the parents and the kids stay involved with it, because it's just going to make the sport that much better. And this guy's not thinking it's that much better right now. But, and again, this is the stuff, too, like we talked about with Division. You know, this could change the race a lot today. You come around that corner, you grab your gears, and you're stuck in a rut, and then a guy does that in front of you. So to really watch ahead, and, you know, that's why you saw Josh earlier picking those nice, Josh Strang, you know, picking some nice lines where that's nothing. You pick a line like that, you know nobody's going to be in it because most people aren't that creative. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I think our leader should be checking in here in just a moment, if I'm not mistaken. They're only a couple minutes due in actually at the finish line, and this is right before the finish line itself. So this is we're going to get a chance to see how things are shaping up as far as the battle up front. There's Josh Strang making his way up now, and I mean, looks like those riders are having a little bit more struggle now than they were earlier in the race. Not just Josh, but other riders just before him. I have to wonder what's changing there right now.
Well, what happens, we've got the creek at the bottom. You drag up some hill. The main line gets used a lot. There's Ricky. He seems like he's reeled Josh back in a little bit. But you can see in the tracks, you can see the different color dirt and the lighter color. It's like really polished. And now the tires are getting worn out a little bit too. But I think a lot of it is just the good dirt that was there when we started is gone, and more water's been drug up. So it's just like, you know, in pottery class, you put the water in to shape your little vase you're making, gets super slippery. Look at Josh, how he come way wide. Remember how slippery on the first lap? Oh, 2-lap card is out.
Yeah.
But you saw him coming way outside, because I mean, it's like a skating rink, this corner here, when you're on the main line down there. So you see Josh, like he was right up by that blue pole there. So he's really using all his years of experience to get through now. See Ricky, he kind of hung on the inside, how much slower he was going right there. Again, it's not a lot slower, but it's just fractions here and there. And I think that's helped Josh pull out that little bit of a lead.
4 seconds to now 18 seconds.
Yeah, see, that's on a day like today. And again, to me, the lead is good. But the better part for Josh is now Ricky can't see him.
Right.
And again, now you can do some things that every time you go to a racetrack, you have lines where but I don't want to show your hand. So now Josh can ride his lines and go where he wants to go.
Is that Grant Baylor up to third?
Grant, yeah, we thought that.
Grant Baylor is up to the number 3 spot. So Baylor around Bollinger, that rider that we wondered, was it Bollinger, was it Ashburn, was likely a lapped rider.
There goes Bollinger and Ashburn wheel to wheel.
So Bollinger and Ashburn back battling for 4th place. They're now about 8.7 seconds back of Grant Baylor. Baylor turning a 37.47. And Mark, you made the statement, we'll see what Grant Baylor's lap time is like on this. Now with 2 laps to go. Basically, we're looking at maybe an hour and 15 minutes of racing if we stay steady at these 37, 38-minute lap times. Wow. I mean, he's got himself in a great position. And to answer the question, will he put himself there? Yes, he is. Now, the big question is, how far back is he from Ricky Russell and Josh Strang?
Because what Josh turned, because they're a couple laps in, Josh was at a 37.29.
And that's exactly where he is right now at the end of lap number 3, at 37.43 for Ricky Russell. Baylor turned a 37.47 as he continues to claw his way up.
And these guys have really tightened up here at the front of the pack and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Because this is what we want to see. You know, we want to see good close racing, and again, between Bollinger and Ashburn, those are the two that have the most to gain today. And Josh Toth, he's been picking it up here too as the day's been going on. But he put himself in a pretty big hole early on. So I don't know if he had a crash, got stuck, what happened. We never got to see anything. But I think he's been working his way up the leaderboard.
Cody Barnes checks in now, leading the XC2 250 Pro class on that Phoenix Racing Honda. So big changes there. Snodgrass, not sure, he hasn't checked in yet. Evan Smith or Mike Witkowski have checked in yet at the finish line in the XC2 250 Pro class. So big changes taking place in that one as well.
Yeah, we've had just a ton of movement in the XC2 class today. I mean, people have been all over the map. We've had, that's our 3rd different leader now today.
I think so, yeah.
So, and it's not like it's 1st, 2nd, been swapping back and forth. It's like you going from 1st to 5th.
Right.
So it's crazy in the XC2. And again, with the 250s, you kind of have a little more struggle today because you don't have the torque that the 450s have. So when you're coming to a hill like this, you got to be much more precise, be on your lines, get your momentum going. So if you get hung up on the 250, you just can't like back her out a little bit and feather your way through it like you can on a 450 or the 350 that Josh Toth is riding.
Well, I will say this. I've been updating the computer, Mark, and Snodgrass nor Smith nor Witkowski nor Ryder Lafferty have checked in yet. Witkowski was 24 seconds back of Evan Smith there at one point, so I don't know if my timing and scoring doesn't seem to be stuck, so this will be interesting to see how this unfolds as far as that story in the XC2 250 Pro class goes.
Yeah, that's been a crazy race today with all the movement we've had, and again, it's been big swings. It's not just a second here or there.
Witkowski checks in 1 minute and 18 seconds now behind Cody Barnes in the 8th place position overall, and right behind him is Evan Smith. And let's see, and also 7 seconds back of that is Ryder Lafferty now checking in. Liam Draper has checked in now. He's dropped back to the 11th place in the overall, and I think that puts him in the 5th place position in class now. So just like you said, from 1st to 5th, I mean, it's almost like you don't want to be leading this XC2 250 Pro class until you get to the checkers, I don't think.
Yeah, and Cody Barnes, he came from a ways back because he wasn't up front early. You know, we had Ryder and Evan Smith, you know, was leading, and Ryder was second there for quite a while, and you know, and he was nowhere to be sat. Now the guy's big change there. So,
well, yeah. Barnes is like lightning. I mean, he strikes when you least expect it. You know, you'll be just standing there, and all of a sudden, kapow! There he is, and he runs hard. And you know, I know the guys over at Phoenix Racing Honda. They got a lot of faith in him, and they're always really excited about what he's able to pull off. And even in their XC2 250 Pro efforts with Rui Barbosa, I don't think Barbosa's doing so hot today, but there's another rider that they oftentimes get a lot of pretty exciting things out of.
Yeah, he's had some great rides this year and been a little all over the map with his finishes, consistency-wise, but you know, like what I think Roger DeCoster said, he said, I can always, or Mitch Payton, I think he said, I can always work with speed. You know, so if you have that first, we can fine-tune the other stuff. But right now, Josh Strang seems to be having the whole package today.
He does, the total package, no doubt about that. And that's just 17.9 seconds, an 18-second lead. It's not that big, but it seems so monumental. I don't know why, but right now it seems like it could be a minute and a half, and I don't think it would be any less monumental. Uh-oh.
That wasn't one of our pro riders, but again, that's what could happen today. There could be your 18 seconds right there or more.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, too, to see if we can get a guy like a Grant Baylor start moving up and get some pressure. Then the pit boards will come out and they'll let Josh Strang know, hey, right, Grant's coming, you know, and then it's like, how does that change, you know, because right, you know, Josh's been up front all day and really hasn't, like, people have been there, he hasn't been under pressure.
Right.
You know, so he's been able to ride his own race. So if if Grant starts putting some pressure on him, you know,
yeah,
will
he have an extra gear to ride, to click to it? And I would say, yeah, I think so. Yeah. But the big question is, will that extra gear he has, if Grant does get that Grizzly speed momentum going there, will he be able to stop that momentum that Grant has? And in all honesty, that's what I'm hoping to see, is what's going to happen at the checker flag. I want to see those guys come in side by side, banging bars and everything else. You know, and I'll be honest, I don't care who wins. I just want to see it. I want to see it happen like that, and it wouldn't bother me a bit to see Ricky and a few other guys right there, Trevor, if they were all 4 or 5 of those guys doing it like that.
And we talked about Josh and his thought process, and then we go to Grant and his thought process. When you get the pit board, you were 40 seconds down. Now you're 27 seconds down. You know, in your mind, it's like, I got him. You know, he's mine, and I know that's what Grant. And I'm sure the person on the pit board, if it were me, and you were 40 seconds down, next time you're 27 seconds down, my pit board might say minus 20 seconds. You know, just giving that little bit of extra motivation and stuff. And it's funny because you see that stuff on the pit board because that's your only form of communication.
Right.
You know, and the guys, they do a great job of getting out on the track and giving them those signs throughout the days. It's not like, you know, Blackwater, I knew where I was once every hour.
Right.
You know, so our old information didn't do you a lot of good. But now the riders, even though it is just some pit signals, they get them a couple times throughout the track. So, you know, if he sees 30 seconds, 27 seconds, 21 seconds, 12 seconds, you know, he gets super motivated, and you know, the fatigue doesn't seem to set in.
There's a lot of adrenaline, I'm sure, starts flowing at that particular point.
Yeah. Where if you're at the front and you go from 45 to 25 to 12 seconds, then you're like, oh no,
Yeah,
you know.
it's a different kind of adrenaline
Yeah.
starting to flow
Yeah.
at that point.
Yes. So yeah, there's strategies on both sides of that, and again, it's cool to see because all these guys have won races before. You know, most of them at this level, so it'll be interesting, and then it'll be cool too for Ricky Russell, you know, who's never won one of these, or Trevor Bollinger or Jordan Ashburn. You know, they really got to look at a day like today and take advantage of it. And then I think whoever does win today, especially if it's you know, Bollinger or Ashburn, that really does them a big favor going forward.
Nice little chicane section for these riders as they are faced with the option of going up that hill or going around. And it amazes me, you know, how some riders can just, like, it doesn't look like there's any problem whatsoever, and then other riders, it's the biggest obstacle they've ever faced.
Well, again, you know, we talked about vision, you know, earlier with clear goggle vision, but also vision. When I like, one of the most important things I tell a young rider is vision. And it's not that your goggles are clear, you got 20/20 eyesight. It's looking down the trail. And on a section like that, you got to look ahead to see that obstacle, because if you get to the obstacle, then it's an obstacle.
Right.
If you see it coming and you know it's there, then that makes the world of difference. And that's a section like that. If you hit those things quick, oh, here we got Strang. We'll see, put a watch on him here and see how he's looking time-wise to see if he's kept that lead, stretched the lead, or lost it a little bit.
So last time we knew there was about 18-20 seconds that separated him, but that was Russell going through there. That was 8 seconds. That was 10 seconds that's been cut off. I don't know.
No, I don't think that was Ricky.
Okay, I said if it was.
No, okay.
Okay, here comes. Nope.
Nope, that's not Ricky either. Oh, the first one was it? Then if that's the case, then he did. Yeah, if we might have. You might be right, Rodney. You were probably right. Okay, so if that is the case, he cut that lead in half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it looked like it could have been, but again, on days like today, I'm not real confident in my calling of that, to be honest with you. No. Everybody looks the same. They look like southeastern Ohio mud.
Yep, and stuff. And there's Grant.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Yep. So that had to be. Yeah, that must have been him.
Now Grant has dropped off. He's almost. They got the two front guys have almost a minute on Grant now. So.
Yeah.
So so that's cool to see, because obviously they got word to Strang that hey, Grant's coming, and your question on the extra gear, it looks like for now he has that. And,
absolutely.
And Ricky Russell went with him, so that's encouraging to see too from both of those guys.
Yeah, and that, you know, and maybe Ricky might have went a little quicker than what Josh did, to be honest with you. Especially, it looks like it could be that, because that gap was, like I said, 18 seconds down to 8. But you know, like we all well know, and we mentioned the conditions, we've seen riders.
That's Bollinger right there going by, so he's not stayed with the front two time-wise either.
Get behind the wrong person in the wrong place on the racetrack, and you can lose 10 seconds real quick.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
And to this time in the race too, speaking of, you know, catching other riders, you know, that are on the track racing, it's not as hard to get by them, you know, like the lappers, because at this point in the race they've probably had enough, and so when you come up on them, they'll be more than happy to get out of your way. But sometimes they're struggling so much at this point, you really got to be careful with lap riders. Sometimes I didn't even like yell and let them know I'm coming. I just get them quick before they even knew what happened, because you know, they look back and you tend to go where you look, and they ride right off into you. So I mean, they do their best. It's great to, and that's the cool thing about the GNCCs, is you get to ride with all the top level riders, and it's cool, like when a Ricky Russell or, you know, a Grant Baylor goes riding by you, to jump in behind me. Even if you follow them for 2 turns, you'll learn something. But so that's a great part to, and then, or even just watch them and see something.
Is that Barnes?
Yeah, that looked like Cody Barnes right there.
Yeah, so Barnes, I think, maybe going through there. So he's pretty close and doing pretty well on.
Yeah, he's
physically too. It looks like.
Yeah, he's right and hovering around that top 5 overall position and stuff. But yeah, when you're just a regular weekend warrior, you're out here riding, and you see one of these guys go by you, and they'll do something that'll just blow your mind. Even me, I mean, I've been there, done that, and I'll watch these guys nowadays, and they'll do something, you go, that was cool. And so
it's pretty remarkable, honestly, what technology has done for the riders. I mean, you know, days like today, as bad as they are, weren't as bad as they were, that's for sure. And, you know, 30, 40, 50 years ago when John Penton was doing it. As we pay homage to him here today in southeastern Ohio, celebrating the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Right now, Josh Strang out front of Ricky Russell, who's cut that 18-second lead in half, and Grant Baylor back there in the number 3 spot. Can Bollinger and Ashburn remount the challenge and challenge for a possible podium today? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Ben Kelly here, 2021 GNCC champion. Subscribe to Racer X and get yourself a fresh FMF t-shirt.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Knotty Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Knotty Tires.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
Welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin, Mark Hyde, Mikey Wayne's out and about, and that's Pastor Chuck LeMaster soaping down the kids. Yep, a bunch of stinky kids around here, so he decided to go out and, no, actually it's a water truck water slide. And, of course, all the kids, a lot of kids turning out for that one. Like you said yesterday, Mark, we had 90-some degree temperature, so this was something that the kids were definitely looking forward to.
Yep, and that doesn't look any worse than the race course as far as traction goes.
I'll tell you, I don't know who has more fun at that event. I don't know if it's Pastor Chuck or if it's the kids themselves. But nonetheless, Team Faith Ministries out, brings church to the racetrack each and every week at the race course. And Pastor Chuck has been here, I think this is his 14th or 15th season, if I'm not mistaken, and he's been a great addition. I know they had baptism last night, some folks, and I mean, it's turned into literally a real church. It's really cool. And you can check out, if you go on the iTunes, you can look for Team Faith Ministries, or you can look for Chuck LeMaster, and you can find and you can download the podcast from the sermons that he preaches right here at the racetrack. It's pretty cool, or teaches here at the racetrack.
Yeah, you know, too, as we talk about the racetrack, I was looking at the laps from the last lap, and Josh Toth, I don't know what to have him, but he is on fire. And it's funny, the Enduro last week, he won the last section of the day, and he turned 37.03, which is almost 30 seconds faster than the leaders.
Yep.
And he has come right up on the rear wheel of both Bollinger and Ashburn. So at this pace, he could even get up as far as Grant Baylor and find himself on the podium.
You know, doing a little bit of math right here, if he stays consistently at 30 seconds faster a lap over the course of these next two laps, there's a possibility that he might be able to get Josh Strang in sight if he can get around these guys. Now, I mean, this is theoretically speaking, obviously, but if we're talking about lap times alone, there's a possibility looming in the air that this could happen. But it goes back to the original question you asked a few moments ago. How much more does Josh have? How hard is he pushing it right now? does he have another 30 seconds in him? Can he whittle that off himself right now? And he's been very consistent today at that 37.5-minute mark.
Yeah, Josh has rode a brilliant race up front there, with his lap times and being consistent and not making mistakes. And one thing too that could be interesting, because they've seems like the front two have separated from Grant Baylor a little bit. If Ricky Russell and Josh think it's just a 2-horse race,
right,
and they don't worry about it, and they kind of get into some horse playing and just dinking around a little bit, and then Josh Toth reels up on him without them knowing he's coming because he is so far back. But man, he made up 30 seconds in one lap.
Right, and maybe even a little more on those two, because I mean, you look at Toth's lap time in comparison to Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn turned a 37.50, so in reality he was about 47 seconds faster. Made up that on and Bollinger was a 38.20, so Bollinger lost even more time on that. So like you're saying right now, things are definitely in the favor of Josh Toth as far as catching these guys, and catching them by surprise quite likely too.
Yep. And here we have our leader Josh Strang coming through mile marker 6, still looking strong, still riding well. We got a lap rider kind of sitting there right in the trail, and now we're just waiting on Ricky Russell.
See the sun shining through the trees there, Mark.
Yes, we do. We have some sunshine, but we have no Ricky Russell yet.
Wow, and he was like 10 seconds behind last time around, or last time we saw him anyway.
Nope, that's not him either. Yeah, it's so, and again, with Bollinger too, with his big
34 seconds.
So
wow.
We've got a report that he's about 35 seconds back, and so that there's Ricky right there and stuff. So yeah, so Josh has gotten in front of him a little bit. And with Bollinger's last lap time being that far off, I wonder, if he kind of got into a mud hole or a lap rider or something, got hung up on a hill, because to lose that much time is quite a bit for him, the way he's been riding the last few races and the way he's been riding all day today.
Absolutely. Yeah, there has to have been something that came up out there, and it'll be interesting to see what that translates into on this particular lap, but if he can turn it around now.
Yeah, yep. And it'll be interesting with with Bollinger and Ashburn there, and if Josh Toth catches him, can Josh get by him cleanly, or do they latch onto him and another race starts? So there could be a lot of, it looks like Strang has gotten a little bit into the front there, so that looks good.
Yeah, that's Bollinger. That's Toth up to 4th now.
Yep.
So Baylor did get caught and consumed, drops back to the number 5 spot, but there's Josh Toth right there on the rear fender, basically, of Trevor Bollinger, who's obviously gotten back up to speed. Now we're not seeing Jordan Ashburn.
Yeah, it's just the opposite of 2 weeks ago, where Bollinger got Josh right at the end. It could work the other way this week, where Josh is just riding really aggressive right now and, getting after it pretty good. And Josh, Josh Toth from up in New England area, Connecticut. Like, he grew up like 10 minutes from Ben Kelly. The two of them grew up racing ever since they were kids. And there's some really difficult conditions up in New England. So earlier today we talked about, I thought Josh would be one of the guys up front today, and I think he's going to get there, but he waited 2 hours to make it happen.
It might just be the combination that he's got going on right now. And like I said, in theory, if he can continue that, Josh hasn't picked up the pace up front, it could be interesting down. But more importantly, right now, it's interesting right now, that's Jordan Ashburn, I think, finally making his way through, and he is ever bit a minute plus behind those 3rd, 4th, 5th place riders right now.
The Bollinger Toth Grant group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and, we heard Jordan say he was under the weather 2 weeks ago, and, maybe it's not 100% again, because he was up there early and he's kind of gotten back there a little bit. And on a day like today, all it takes is one mud hole.
Right.
And you get hung up, or a hill, you have to reshoot or something, and it doesn't take long to zap your energy. And if he's not started with a full tank, he could, that could use you up pretty quick. So, he might be in that boat today too. So we'll see. But I think that group there with Bollinger, Grant, and Josh Toth, that's the group to watch right now, because it looks like Strang up front kind of is broken away from Ricky, and we'll see what happens between here and the finish, because they'll come through here and they'll get the white flag. So we got probably about 45 minutes of racing left.
So watching some of the traffic out there traverse the trails out here, Mark, and you can tell the difference in momentum from guys like Josh Strang and Josh Toth and Ricky Russell and Grant Baylor and Trevor Bollinger even. as opposed to different riders. But you know, at this point too, I think some of the riders, that right there might be one of the lead riders.
That looks like Ricky Russell.
I was supposed to say, is that Ricky Russell? And I think that might be. So he is laying down a pretty good charge out here. And I'm going to say, you know, over the last 2 laps, this section, you know, you talked about a lot of wheels in the different lines and things a few moments ago, obviously with the amount of riders out there on the track. And if it stayed a little bit clean out there, it's given them a little more traction, it looks like, and a little more confidence to ride with a little more aggression.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get a lot of the course today. It's just going to get better and better as the day go on. But then some of the spots where there's just kind of one line or it's a harder base from where the four-wheelers were, it'll just get slipperier as the day goes on. But the majority of this course is just going to get better and better. And you know, we've also got some interesting stuff going on in XC2. Cody Barnes is kind of checked out, but from second back to fifth, they're in a pile. And it's funny, Ryder Lafferty, we joked about it during the break. He's been all over the map in the class, but he's been like 10th overall every lap. But he's gone from second to fourth to fifth to third. So it's been pretty crazy watching those XC2 guys going by. But it seems like Cody Barnes has kind of got a stranglehold on it now, and we'll see if he can hold that front spot. And we've had 3 different leaders in XC2 today.
Yeah,
so that's been some exciting racing there. So that's been good. Yeah, there we have riders in fourth. Witkowski second. Evan Smith, who led early on in a bunch of it, he's back in third place now. So yeah, from I think Witkowski to Ryder, there's only about 20-30 seconds between that group, so that'll be interesting to see how that finishes up. And in the XC3 class, Johnson, he's been up front all day. Zach Hayes has been second all day, and Zach's been super consistent all year. You know, he lost the championship last year, but won it the year before, so it's good to see him back running up at the front of that class again this year.
Yeah, well, we've had, like you said, 3 different leaders. Evan Smith opened up in the XC2 250 Pro class with the lead. Actually got the whole shot, if I remember correctly, and led that first lap and a half or so. Then we saw, I believe it was it Snodgrass that had taken over the lead, if I'm not mistaken? And now Cody Barnes is out front. Mike Witkowski has been very consistently working his way up from about 4th place, and he might be another rider that we might want to keep an eye on. But again, the thing to note, though, he was nearly 1 minute 20 seconds back of Barnes, like you said, who's amassed a major lead there in that XC2 class.
Yeah, he's been got the track figured out now, and seems like he's making some really good progress. We got a spectator down. Oh, we got Bollinger in for some fuel. So,
yeah.
So was Josh Toth was right behind Bollinger, wasn't he? So that would, if he hadn't got around him, that was an easy pass for Josh to make right there. Yeah. Yeah, something must have happened to Trevor there, so that's not a good thing for him today. But the spectators are having a blast out there today. I don't know what they're enjoying more, the playing in the mud or watching the race.
I'm sure it's a little bit of it all. I mean, you know, that's the great thing about this sport, Mark, is the family atmosphere about it. You know, you can come out, the kids can race, the family can be a part of the team or just be a cheerleader or whatever the case may be, and then everybody can join together and watch these pro races together, and or maybe watch dad go against, you know, race with the pros out there, whatever the case may be, or mom in a lot of cases. It happens to be a lot of times. It's just an exciting atmosphere to be around, and you know, to see that the families are the core of this, and what it has done and the growth that it has seen, and it amazes me. I've been a part of this since basically the mid to late 1990s, and consistently since 2002, Mark, and to see the growth that I've seen. But you know, the one thing that has always been true and core to it all has been the family atmosphere.
Yep. Yeah, you know, when I was a kid, my dad, he had a couple buddies and boys my age, and we'd go riding every weekend. That's what we did. And then we got into racing. I remember the first time I met John Penton. We were at a local hare scrambles in Ohio, and my dad was riding 175 Jack Piner. I had a 100 Berkshire, and I come in at the end of the race, and there's John Penton sitting on the tailgate of our pickup truck talking to my dad.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. You know, here's the guy who builds my bike. His name, you know, is sitting on my truck, you know, and my dad's bike had broke down, and John came over to him, hey, what happened, you know, and explained to my dad, you do this, this will never happen again. And that was John Penton. He loved the sport of motorcycling. He loved getting people involved. He wanted them to have a good time. And, you know, and back then, and I pulled up the truck, and, you know, Mr. Penton, he goes, hey, how'd you do today? And I won the 100 class. And back then, Penton, they used to give you these Penton class winner stickers. And he reached in his wallet and he gave me one.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, to this day, that was just one of the highlights of my riding career. But, you know, it's just something my dad and I did, you know, and we loved doing it as a family. My sisters were involved in it too. My mom, not so much, but as I got better, she came around. So, but yeah, it's just a great atmosphere, and you learn a lot. Even though I've had a great run in motorcycling, you know, even if you don't ride, there's still a lot of opportunities in the industry to be involved and be part of it, and it's just amazing. And too, now with all the little youth stuff we have going on, it's just fantastic to see it all. And man, we see this hill; it's really changing.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, the conditions just keep getting worse for guys.
Hey, Mikey's got an update down in the pits. This guy says, "You set me up the wrong line." Mikey.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
I heard you guys in the booth there. Hey, down here in the Rockstar Husky pits, Trevor Bollinger, a little bit of an extended pit stop for him. Not sure what's going on, but maybe some issues for Trevor Bollinger. Something we'll have to keep an eye on. Not sure if it's physical or what, but we're going to keep our eye on Trevor Bollinger. Hopefully we can get an update for you guys in a little bit, but we will find out. If we find out some more, we'll share it with you guys.
Oh, I will say this. I mean, just by the look on the face and watching, it seemed like there were some frustrations of some sorts. And, you know, I don't know what they stem from or anything, but definitely some frustrations on the face of the mechanic whenever there was that late exchange between he and just before Trevor pulled out.
Yeah, you never want to see that as a mechanic. You know, I was Rodney Smith's mechanic for 7 years, and you know, and because I had raced before, you know, the last thing I wanted was him to have a bike problem, you know, because I know what he's going through. And these mechanics now, even though they didn't race like I did, I mean, they still, I mean, they live and die.
They feel it.
Yeah, because they're not out there. They can only do so much. They build the bike, and it just kills them, I know, if they have an issue. And, you know, because there's limited things you can do as a mechanic. You know, you get them a bike, you cheer them on, you do everything in your power. And it's frustrating when something happens and they can't do anything about it.
In all honesty, Mark, any good mechanic wins a championship with the champion. I mean, really. I mean, it takes the two to be strong. And, you know, you have to have a good one on your side. You have to mesh well with that mechanic. If there's no meshing there, it can go awry real quick. And a rider's career could suffer badly from it.
Yeah, you look at all the great champions we've had in the series, and you know, they have a good mechanic behind them. Like I told Rodney Smith, I said, Rodney, I taught you everything you know about off-road racing, but I didn't teach you everything I know about off-road racing.
There you go.
But no, Rodney, man, that guy was awesome. I loved working with him. And we have, you know, another great rider here, Josh Strang, coming, still using that same line, but his feet aren't on the pegs like they were earlier. And you're right, Rodney, you picked this up a while ago. That hill is definitely getting tougher, but you know, that's one of those things, too, where I think Josh, he's locked into that line. There might be a better line, but he's made that one every time. So here late in the race, sometimes you just go with what you know. It's so late, he doesn't want to, you know, experiment at this time of the race. So we'll see how it pans out. Is that Ricky Russell?
That is.
He has reeled Josh in quite a bit. I'll bet you he's within 10, 12 seconds of him.
So we'll see what's going on. He's been like a yo-yo. I mean,
yeah.
He goes up, he goes back, he goes up, and he's on his way back up right now. Here's what'll be interesting. The gap back to third, we'd seen that opened up to a minute or so at one point. 35 seconds last time around when we came around. White flag is out, and Josh Strang en route to what he hopes to be a second consecutive win here at the John Penton GNCC. And, of course, he's well on his way to that. It's a gap that we are waiting to see what is now was 18 seconds. We saw it down to as low as about 10 seconds at one point in this. And now as Ricky Russell checks in with lap 4 complete, it's 21.3 seconds.
Well, I could have swore on that hill he was closer than that. But again, of course, like we have today, because it's so different, you know, you'll have one section where one guy's faster and then another section where another guy's faster. But it looks like maybe Ricky's faster in the second half. So if he can work on his places where he's struggling, you know, he can maybe make a big push here at the finish.
Strang rockets up the hill climb there.
Yeah.
That hill didn't seem to be too bad.
No, and then here Ricky comes by, and again here he looks. There's some weaving in here, so it gets close, hard to tell. But
yeah,
but he looks way closer than 21 seconds on this hill here, so we'll see how he comes by. But with all that weaving back and forth, there he goes. I got him at 18 seconds right there. So
Quick 3 seconds.
Quick 3 seconds, but we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting now when we drop back to Ashburn and Toth to see how that battle's going on here, because they'll
absolutely 45, call it 46 seconds. Ashburn is now third. Toth in the number 4 spot. Grant Baylor has checked in now in the number 5 spot, 24 seconds back. His lap time dropped to a 37:17. We're down into the 36s now. We were talking 37.5 minutes being fast lap times. Josh Strang turned to 36:36, knocking almost a full minute off his lap time.
There we at the hill climb here, we got Josh Toth right behind Jordan Ashburn. So it, those lap times tell me that there's some racing going on, but also it looks like the track is getting better. But we got a big battle here for the final spot on the podium.
Yes.
Between Toth and Ashburn, and Ashburn, it was weird because there for a while he was kind of he worked his way back to 5th or 6th, and now he's charging. And here we have Grant Baylor coming into the picture, so he's lost the pull there on those two guys. But so Jordan Ashburn's like digging deep here and trying to keep that final spot on the podium.
Absolutely, but Josh Toth is coming hard, 2.9 seconds back when they crossed the finish line. 36:39 for Jordan Ashburn on his lap time, at 36:25. Again, the fastest lap of those front runners.
And we just saw Grant Baylor go by there on that top of that hill. He almost didn't make it. You talked about earlier how those guys make it look so easy, but it could just be, the rut at the bottom of the hill is getting a little deeper, a little tougher, just like we saw Strang on that last hill struggling a little bit. But the whole course, like I said, I think the majority of the course has definitely got better, but there's still some spots out there that are going to challenge it. And too, when you're in a place like this in the race, like Strang, if it's just a normal race course and everything's, it's just going fast, you're not so worried about it. But now, Josh, okay, I got, a rider right behind me. I got Ricky Russell chasing me. And at mile marker 7, I might have a mud hole. Or mile marker 12, I got this downhill with a big rut in it and everything. So not only does he have to worry about Ricky, he's got to worry about the race course.
Mm-hmm. So
there's a lot of stuff that can happen and goes through your mind on a day like today. And I know when you're up there and you can't see him, and that you make one little mistake, you think, oh, that cost me 10 seconds when it was like 2. But,
right.
There's a lot of things you can think about. And we got Trevor Bollinger going by here right now. So he is definitely lost toe with that front group. But still going to be a solid points day, and that's what he needs at this point in time. When you look at the big picture of the long season, he'll still be third in the point standings after today if he keeps this pace up. But definitely is pulled in on Ben Kelly, which is what him and Jordan definitely wanted to do today.
Amazing whenever you're in these circumstances, the relativity of time, like what you're talking about. I mean, it's funny the mindset. And is that Barnes?
Cody Barnes,
yeah.
Man, yeah. So I guess he's going to affect the overall standings. But
yeah.
He's moving up pretty strong.
Yeah, let's check in and see where he is going right now. He's 6th overall, and I think actually he may have checked in just behind Trevor Bollinger, which would put him 7th physically on the racetrack, but 6th in the overall right now. His lap time, 37:47, so, still pretty good for those XC2 guys. I don't think we can see him being much of a threat as far as the any more than the top 5 right now in the overall today. But, man, he has certainly been able to impress the rest of those XC2 guys.
Yeah, and it, like we talked earlier, it's crazy, the XC2s. The changeover we've had it from lap to lap, and not first to second, second to third. It's been 5th to 1st, type of movement. It's been crazy, except for Ryder. Ryder just stays 10th overall.
Well, I think we may have a change right now. It is appearing that Ryder Lafferty, update, has checked in with 4 laps complete in the 8th place position. and not making light of the situation, but I think that's also moved him up to the number 2 position. He's a minute and 28 seconds behind Cody Barnes. He just turned a 37:46 himself, so he's matching the times that Cody Barnes has got going on right now. So both these riders are reaching a pretty good level. That also means that he's gotten around Mike Witkowski, and Witkowski I don't think has checked in yet. Now remember, Witkowski was a minute and 18 seconds behind Barnes last time around. He turned a 38:59 on that last lap, and this time around Liam Draper checks in the number 3 position on the KTM there, 40 seconds nearly behind Ryder Lafferty. And there is Mike Witkowski, only 2.2 seconds behind Liam Draper. So another big change taking place in that top 5 again in that XC2 class.
Yeah, we've still got a lot of movement going on there. It seems like, maybe the front two have gotten solidified where they're going to be. But again, this track, I think there's still some holes and hills and places out there that can get a hold of you and make things not go your way.
There went Draper by, I think, on the 198 we saw there.
And that's Wiskowski right behind him.
Yeah, so, and I'm wondering how far Evan Smith is now. Smith has dropped back. He was only a couple of seconds behind those guys at the end of lap 3, but we haven't seen a 5th place ride check in an XC250 Pro class yet. Jonathan Johnson is 6th place, and he was only about 30 seconds back. So looks like those front 4, there's Snodgrass has checked in about a minute back now in the 5th place position. Johnson another 5 seconds behind him. So Evan Smith has dropped off the radar, it looks like, as he's back as far as 7th place in that class after the early lead there today for him.
That's a bummer. He had a real strong ride going. We don't know, if he had a problem or, which is easy to do on a day like today. But knowing that he rode that strong early, that's got to be good for his confidence. That knows he can run that pace and, hopefully build on that going forward. Will really help him out in the future.
Absolutely. And just a quick check back on the FMF 125, the XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Brody Johnson leading there after 3 laps. They're due in probably 6 minutes for their 4th lap complete. But Johnson has amassed a 4.5-minute lead over Zach Hayes. Dakota DeVore back in the number 3 spot. Jake Froman in 4th, and Hunter Neuwirth rounds out the top 5 in that class.
Yeah, that class is a great class. We have some great racing in that class, but a 125 today would not be the ideal situation, I don't think. The only guy that really pulled that off was Shane Watts.
Right.
And he used to dominate on that 125 KTM when he rode it. It was just amazing to see what he could do. But yeah, with the advancement of, we talked about it a little bit ago, you brought up the technology from what we have now and what we had 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's just amazing. The brakes, the suspension, just the motor packages, the tuning that they can do. It's a lot of advantages, but then still the rider has to, execute those advantages.
Yeah, doing a little bit of look-see there. I think Lane Michael losing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 11 minutes whenever after that. But, he's still out there. That's the impressive thing. I mean, they got the situation neutralized, as Mikey Waynes had pointed out. He's about 12 minutes behind Craig DeLong, who's checked in, 4 minutes behind Trevor Bollinger now. Bollinger is 1 minute and 24 seconds behind Grant Baylor, who is now back in the number 5 spot of the class. He's 24 seconds behind Josh Toth and Jordan Ashburn, who are basically nose to tail battling for that final podium spot right now.
Yep. And it's good to see Lane get back out there because, at this point in the season, he needs some seat time. We know he's fast. We know he can run up front. So it's good to see him to get his situation under control there, get back out there and put some laps in. So hopefully the next round is close to his hometown, so he always goes good there. So hopefully this will help him. So in 2 weeks' time, he can put her up there in the front and keep it up there.
Should be a comfort zone there for him anyway, right?
Yep, and stuff. So here we have Josh Strang going by again. Still, we'll keep an eye on the time and see if that lead is yo-yoed like it's been doing all day, because Ricky Russell has definitely been just right there. Boy,
is that
Ricky
wow?
Right there? Yeah.
If that's the case, he's about, 10 seconds back?
10, 12 seconds. He's like 12 seconds right there.
Cut it in almost half again, 21 down to 12 seconds. So there's something about that 1 to 3 mile mark that Ricky Russell's really got dialed in there over probably the entire field, the way things are looking.
Yep. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. We've got that battle going on up front, so then we'll see where Ashburn and Toth come through, because that's our next big battle we want to watch for on the race course. So we got two big battles going on here that's going to decide the order of the podium when we get done here in a little bit. But yeah, this is cool to see. Oh, is that Jordan Ashburn right there? Looks like.
I believe so, and maybe by himself actually.
Yeah, because Toth was on that big uphill, was a little bit closer to him than that. So Jordan maybe found that extra gear and able to gap, Josh a little bit. Yeah, he definitely, if that was Jordan, he definitely got away from Josh here in this section.
There's Josh.
Yeah, so he's moved out a little bit. Got a little bit of a comfortable gap there, so that should make him feel a lot better about today, and that'll really help him, going forward in the points.
Again, I guess this course is becoming more and more of an opponent as the guy you're riding against out there, because, and you pointed out, lap after lap it's changing, and you made mention of 100 riders have gone through that section or whatever, and speaking of numbers, probably back in the day those were some pretty big. Now we're talking numbers 200, 300, and 400 times. That I can't remember exactly how many we had today, but I know it was over the 200 mark that we had. So again, a lot of, you're right, changes, and especially when the ground's as soft as it is right now, it's relative to change for that too.
Yeah, that's a big thing on today, and that's why I talk about the vision is so important, because even while you're racing, you'll know sections, and too, because we come back to these tracks year after year, and certain sections that get worse than others, certain places you can go that same line every time, but then there's other spots you got to have kind of your head on a swivel and be ready to make changes. And I think we saw that one hill last time. Josh kind of struggled getting up it a little bit, but again, he's so he's so familiar with that line that he's comfortable with it. He knows it's going away, but he still thinks it's good enough to get him to the end.
And continuing, an interesting part of that point too, before we go to break here, is you talk about understanding what a racetrack is like. Now that there's some of these courses that we go to 2 times, sometimes in the spring and in the fall, you've got to also take into consideration different times of the year, how the track breaks down and under what conditions. And so it's becoming a pretty big game, no doubt about it, as we take a look. Josh Strang still leading Ricky Russell. Jordan Ashburn in the number 3 spot. Josh Toth losing a little bit of ground back there in the number 4 spot, but we are far, far from over as far as this day of racing is concerned. About 23 minutes to go before we expect to see checker flags. Will Josh Strang hang on to it? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Ben Kelly here, 2021 GNCC champion. Subscribe to Racer X and get yourself a fresh FMF t-shirt.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Knotty Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Knotty Tires.
Yeah, so it's my first year XC1, and I've just been learning a lot, just trying to go through every race and try to learn from the guys that have been here. You know, Strang and Ashburn, they've been racing XC1 for longer than I've been doing GNCC, so it's been a lot of fun. I don't have a ton of pressure like from the team, so I can go out and put the pressure on myself, which is what I like to do. And I've been having a pretty decent year so far. I got one podium and been a top 5 guy all year pretty much, except for Big Buck. So, I mean, there's a couple things that I need to improve on to kind of get me to that podium spot. But other than that, I'm excited for today. I really enjoy the Penton. I've won here a couple times in the past in XC2, and the conditions today are kind of like how they were those 3 times. So really looking forward to it. It's not going to be super hot, which is nice, and yeah, just looking to get after it. Yeah, I mean, obviously with Ben and Stu, Stu re-injuring himself, but Ben getting hurt, I'm not sure when his time back is going to be, but it definitely throws a wrench into everything for sure. Not really a wrench, but it opens it up for, I think there's 3 of us that are within 13 points or something, so that's 2nd through 4th. So yeah, it's going to be interesting today. It's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of people got a little extra confidence and they're going to be going for it. So just try to be one of them guys that takes advantage of it and makes the best of it.
Well, unfortunately, Craig not having the opportunity to take advantage of it so much today, Mark. But, you know, one thing you can say about Craig DeLong is he is a moldable piece of clay, and he is a great asset, I think, to the program.
Yeah, Craig, he just does a fantastic job. Like I said, a former XC2 champion, and he's just going to get better and better. He'll learn from, you know, he's still been pretty consistent all year. I mean, his worst finish all year was 6th overall. So, you know, that's not bad for a young kid that kind of got moved up a year early.
No, it's not. As we take a look at, speaking of kids, last night, Stasic Racing returned to GNCC Racing as it does every week. And our friends at KTM once again helping out, signing up all the riders, giving them bibs and helping get it all organized. And, of course, our Monster Energy Activation Transport, a.k.a. Meat, was there playing all the music. And Griffin Cotter was there giving all the call. And, of course, Ricky Towery was there with the green flag. And, Mark, I'll tell you what, if you don't think kids anywhere from the age of 2 years old to, say, 4 years old have any idea what racing is about, yes, they do. Even that little guy, he's out there because that's what he wants to be. My grandson's not even 3 yet, and this is all he wants to do is ride his Strider, man. And he's looking forward to getting himself, I think, one of these Stasics. He was out here watching last night, and he was like, Pop, I want one of those.
Yeah, this has just been an amazing program, you know, to get kids, you know, doing something other than sitting in front of their computer, and they're just having so much fun with it. And the families, you know, you go to these and you can't believe how many people show up to these in the evening. You know, we're all here camping and want to have a good time, and, you know, being the John Penton, every kid gets a T-shirt and a medal, so that was really cool. You know, and who doesn't love a T-shirt, man? Come on.
You know what's really cool? Honestly, I see families come in specifically for the Stasic race. Yeah. That's how much fun they have, how much their kids enjoy it, and how much they enjoy being a part of it. And it's a great way. You know, we always talked about the grassroots of racing, and you know, the youth was obviously the strength of the future of what we have. And, you know, it started out with the 65s and the 85s, and then it turned into the ATVs, and then the 50cc's come along. And now we got kids, you know, if they can walk and they have any idea what racing's about and they like it, they go out and they participate in the Stasic or, you know, or a Strider or something like we saw on there. Those kids go out and have a good time. I don't know if he's having as much fun. Who has more fun? Is Josh Strang having more fun, or the kids last night having more fun? Right now, I think it's probably a draw between them because Josh looks like he's riding a pretty good rail today.
Yeah, and Josh, to me, right through that section, looked a little bit more aggressive, and it looked like he's kind of gapped a little bit, Ricky a little bit more, got it back up to that 15, 20-second range. But, yeah, coming through that section, Josh looked pretty racy, and you know, that guy's won championships, he's won races, and he knows what to do at this point in the race, and it looks like he's still got it.
Absolutely, and always like to see the rise of that. And it's just unfortunate that he missed the rounds that he had to miss this year because he had such a good role, it seemed like, started, especially with the good rides that he put together late last season and all season, basically.
I think that was Josh Coates just went by, so that would put Josh up to 3rd because that kid's been on rails the last 3 laps.
Not a bit.
He's been the fastest guy on the racetrack by far, so I don't know if something happened to him early on that we missed because he was, you know, back there he was 10th place.
Yeah, he was only 2 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn when they checked in that last time around. Now, they were about 46 seconds behind Ricky Russell, the 2nd place rider. I don't know if Josh has gained any time on 2nd place right now, but yeah, Josh really riding pretty aggressive through there, that section himself, it looked like.
Yeah, he was really getting after it and stuff, and yeah, you just kind of wonder, you know, we didn't see it early on, but he was back there a ways. Did he get a bad start? Did he get hung up somewhere? Just took him a while to get going and find his groove, but whatever it was, he's figured it out, and he's going really fast the last half of the race. So, but that's good, you know, for all these guys, because going forward now, Josh knows he's back. Ricky Russell knows, hey, I'm just a blip off. You know, I can get a win. Josh Toth knows, hey, I need to win, because Josh has never won a GNCC. He got passed by Caleb Russell like a half mile from the end of the one we thought he was going to win, and it didn't happen. Oh, that's the first time I've seen Josh look back all day, Josh Strang. This is that section earlier. You and I talked at break. That one time we watched him ride this section, it was just a clinic that he put on. You said, you know, you could use that, show it to kids. This is how you do a section.
Yep.
So I think from here on in, like we talked earlier too, it seemed like Ricky Russell was faster in the first half of the track, and Josh is in the faster in the second half. So I know in this faster open stuff, you know, there's less chance for things to go wrong. So Josh probably feels pretty good. Look back, didn't see that 212 behind him, the gas 350 of Ricky Russell. So he's probably feeling pretty confident to get it into the finish from here.
Well, Mark, as we approach the 3-hour mark, 2 hours and basically 56 minutes into the race, we're less than 10 minutes out in anticipation of seeing Josh Strang cross the finish line and take the win here today. Couple of notes of interest. I know one thing that we talked about in all the changes, and we saw the battle, the two contenders that we talked about and that had the most to gain out of today, Jordan Ashburn and Trevor Bollinger, and we've watched them, the battles that they've had. They've been in that second, third place position. It seemed like at one point maybe they may be well within contention of battling even for a win, but as this race has worn on in the last hour, things have really gone awry. Ashburn still maintaining a top podium position heading into the final lap, but Josh Toth was right behind him. And now here's the important story to point out. Now drops back. Jordan Ashburn drops back to fourth. We see Bollinger is back to sixth place in class right now, and another buffer between them and more points, which would be chipping away at his teammate Ben Kelly. So it looks like that Josh Toth is not only doing himself some favors today, he's doing his teammates some favors by making those passes late in the race like this.
Yeah, like I said, we don't know the medical things that are going to go on with Ben, but like I said, when I was in the woods with him, that look and the way he handled himself, if somebody can come back from what he's going through right now, he's the guy. Man, I would not bet against that kid right now after what I saw last Sunday. And if Jordan gets fourth, you know, that's 18 points. So you figure Ben had a 65-point lead. That's less than a third.
Right.
So, you know, stranger things have happened, but after Snowshoe, Ben could still be the red plate holder or the reverse plate holder.
Right.
And stuff. And you know, and this could help Josh out too, because he's ridden so good. Actually, both Joshes have ridden so good today. So he might be the kid that gets on a tear and, you know, can win. And to Snowshoe, you've got to think Josh Toth, he'd be kind of my pick there because it's so rocky, the New England kid. You know, Ben Kelly did it there last year. So yeah, this is just every lap, it just makes it more and more interesting. And I love what Ricky Russell's done today. You know, he's having a fantastic ride. It's just, I think the experience of Josh Strang and just a few things here. We saw the line selection that Josh was doing earlier and some key things. And again, the way Josh has picked it up here at the end with the two halves of the course, he kind of, I think he had more in the tank if he needed it. You know, like I said, like any good racer, you know, as long as you win, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if it's a second or you know, 10 minutes. It's a win's a win.
Yep. There's Grant Baylor going through, and with this race nearing its end, we are approaching just about 6.5 minutes before we expect to see Josh Strang making his way in. One thing to note, and whether it be due to conditions or what, the one thing that I've noticed is we haven't seen any riders really pushing the envelope, riding the ragged edge, and maybe largely in part because of the conditions, but I think it's played a big favor in Ricky Russell's program. And if he takes this into consideration about how he had to choose and pick his lines and made his choices and maybe not ride that ragged edge that he rides, this might be a good learning experience for him that might do well for him in the future.
Yeah, and anytime, you know, you're a young racer coming up, even though Ricky's been around for a while, you got to take a day like today and learn to ride with Josh Strang. You know, as much as that guy has won over the years and as talented as he is, you got to learn stuff. Even if he gets second today, that's almost a win for Ricky Russell, because and you know, he's another kid that too at Snowshoe. That could be his day there.
Yeah.
So, you know, every day is a learning experience. you know, if you don't use it that way, you're making a mistake. So it's going to be.
Well, the mindset, I think a lot of these riders nowadays, especially with the pace that's going on right now, they think they've got to run that fevered pitch and that pace constantly. And maybe they do, and maybe, you know, that's what keeps pushing everybody, you know, to that pace. But whenever Ricky sees that, you know, I rode a really good steady pace, I knew when to push, didn't over push, and if he takes that into consideration on a normal race day, you know, again, you know, as other riders are pushing themselves to complete limits and maybe out of the contention, he can take advantage of that.
Absolutely, and two guys. With the pace today, too, you really wondered, too, did Josh Strang kind of control the pace? Because he was in front all day. I mean, this is going to be a wire-to-wire. And, you know, so he had a good spot to look at lines and do this and do that. And kind of, so maybe there's some section there where he knew nobody could pass him. So he rode a comfortable pacer, and then when he knew where he had to open it up, he'd open it up. So he, like I said, he put on a clinic today. That was an amazing race to watch, and to see some of his line selections and how he managed the lead, and, you know, never really, you know, guys were right there, but he never gave that lead up, and it was really cool to watch what he did today. It was very, very interesting, and we've been watching Grant Baylor, and I love these aerial shots we have. It's so cool to watch these guys from above, and, you know, we talk about the different line sizes. We saw Ben do it at Crawfordsville 2 weeks ago when we got out in the big fields where, you know, this is typical European grass track style riding where you start on the outside, cut across the inside, and just go inside, outside, and you miss a lot of the holes and the bumps. And today, basically what you were doing is you were finding traction. That's what he was looking for. And you saw him, and then we saw Ricky Russell come through more in the main line and on the shiny dirt. He was spinning the wheel here, losing the front end a little bit there. So just those fractions of a second all day. And then that works on your body, you know, your upper arm, and your legs, paddling, dabbing, pulling the front end back, you know. So at the end of the day, 3 hours, you know, I think Strang is a little fresher, and he was able to open up that little bit of a gap here, and it looks like he's going to get it all the way to the finish.
Less than 4 minutes, now approaching about 3 minutes when we expect that Josh would be nearing that finish line region. That'll probably put us right closer to right here, to be honest with you, in about 3 minutes. And then another minute or so over to the finish line. But again, it all depends on what kind of pace Josh has been running, and he's been running still a pretty steady pace. And we saw that drop nearly a minute from the earlier laps in the race, from 37.29s now down to 36.36, and of course Ricky Russell in that 36.39 range was running about 20 seconds back, and that doesn't really seem to be changing a whole lot there. Jordan Ashburn and Josh Toth, though, again, that has switched around coming into this final, or through this final lap and into the checkers. So Toth is, it seems like, and I don't know how close that Ashburn is behind him. I didn't recognize him being very close, not saying that he isn't, but I didn't see it. And if that's the case, I mean, this is a big day, and with Josh being in the position he is, I think it's going to bode well for him on the confidence side of things, as well as many others. The XC2 250 Pro class, they're due in about 7 or 8 minutes. Cody Barnes at last check was leading by about a minute and a half over Ryder Lafferty. Draper was another 40 seconds back in third. Witkowski was 2 seconds off the pace in fourth, and Lyndon Snodgrass rounded out the top 5 there, nearly a minute down at 53 seconds.
Boy, this hill has really gotten interesting. A lot of guys going different ways, and spectators pointing them all kinds of ways. So, and the spectators, we don't have quite as many here now. They're probably all going to the finish to see what happens there. But this is the one hill. I mean, Josh didn't have a big struggle with it, but he was dog paddling a little bit up it.
Right.
So that's what I was hoping, that if Ricky Russell could get close right here, we might, you know, from here to the finish, might see, you know, some knockdown, drag out stuff happening. But
hey, it's a possibility.
Yep.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, yesterday, remember, next to the last lap, if you were paying attention, this shot right here that we're sitting at waiting is when we recognized one of the biggest changes, and probably one of the biggest days in history of Walker Fowler's career anyway, with when he did not appear at this shot, and Bryson Neal came by himself, and we waited for so long and never did see Walker Fowler come out of that section of the track.
I saw the Cowie guys pointing down there. Their strength. He picked a different line. His KTM or his Kawasaki teammates were down there showing him a new inside line, and he did a lot better with it that lap. So I'm pretty sure he was pretty happy to see his guy down there say, hey, this is where you want to go. Trust me.
Well, no close battles with Ricky Russell, no matter how much we tried to hype it up, but Russell, I believe that may be him coming up.
Nope, that's not Ricky.
I was going to say, if he did, he lost.
Is that Ashburn?
Is it?
I think it is.
That
I saw the red background. That would be a big change because
that would be, yes.
From fourth to, so when I saw Josh Toth in third, Ashburn must have snuck by us. He got way up there. Here's Strang.
Yeah, he is. Around the final turn, he pitches the goggles as he makes his way across the finish line and makes it 2 John Pentons in a row for the 114 of Josh the Freight Train Strang. Does it in some adverse conditions as well as, man, you know he's got to be pretty stoked about that and pretty happy for sure. You could see the excitement under that helmet for sure. And
oh no, there's Ricky Russell. Is that Ricky? Yeah, we must have missed him. He must have picked a different line on that uphill and gone around a different way.
Yeah, but Jordan Ashburn did cross the line 8 seconds
there's
behind.
Josh Toth.
8 seconds behind Ricky Russell. So Josh Toth is up finishing in the number 4 spot. So big changes. So yeah, I mean, wow. We knew it was possible, and you know in these conditions sometimes it's hard to see, and then oftentimes crazy things happen out there. We'll get the full stories on this though, Mark, coming up. That's the beauty of being here and having Mikey Waynes down at that finish line, because they get to tell us what really went down and the nitty-gritty of the stuff that really made the differences out there on this racetrack today. And I'll tell you, wire to wire, like what Josh Strang rode this race today, I mean, that doesn't happen very often for anyone. I mean, that was an impressive feat, and not only that, but in the conditions that he was able to perform it, I think may be as equally impressive.
Yeah, he rode a textbook race on a day like today with these conditions. And it was pretty cool, too, that last lap. Josh Toth and Jordan Ashburn, I think they made up a lot of time on the leaders. So they go back and look at their lap times. They're like, oh, why didn't I do that earlier?
A 35:43 for Jordan Ashburn, definitely the fastest lap of the day, and 35:51 for Josh Toth.
Wow. Yeah, they're going to be kicking themselves. They're like, where was that the first 2.5 hours? But you got to give credit to Josh and Ricky. Those two were up front all day pushing each other, so it wasn't like they could cruise. They had a shadow. You know, Josh had that Ricky Russell shadow all day, so that was an impressive ride from both of them. I mean, you definitely saw the veteran Strang, you know, go through his playbook and make it all happen, and Ricky Russell, you know, getting really close to that first win.
Here's an interesting fact for you, and one for the record books today. Four of the top 4 riders all finishing within the 1 minute, 3:05:16, a 3:05. This is 3 hours and 28 minutes, 3 hours, 5 minutes and 36 seconds, 3 hours, 5 minutes and 48 seconds, all within a time frame of less than a minute. You put it together, that's 20, 31, about 50 seconds between the top 4 riders. And when's the last time you've seen the top 4 riders checking in within a minute of each other? It's been a while. Let's check in with Mikey Waynes and talk about this amazing race with Josh Strang.
Hey, thanks, guys. Down here with the Josh Strang. Our first winner this season, not named Ben Kelly. Hey, he's down here. Admittedly, I'm an old guy. He's taking the sticker off the bill of the hat. He said, I don't know what it is with these kids, man. Josh, you look like you got some more left in the tank. This one was not easy, though. Ricky Russell making you earning it.
Yeah, it's 2 in a row at the Penton. Went 15 years without one, and now it's 2 in a row. So, man, I'll take it. Yeah, it's unfortunate Ben isn't here. I actually sent him a text during the week, said heal up, and I was looking forward to passing you on the last lap here like last year. So you never know. But yeah, he's been riding really well this year. So I'll take it. I'll take it this weekend for sure. But I felt good, man. The track here there was some parts of the track that were so grippy, and then other parts that were just I don't even know. So just so slippery. And then the last little hill climb here coming out of the creek, I think I had a big enough gap where I was fine, but I took a new line the last lap and it was sketchy. So I just happy to get through with it, and stoked to get another win, man. It's sometimes they're few and far between, but hey, there's not many other people winning, so I'll take it.
Well, big congratulations to you, Josh. With the absence of Ben Kelly, the absence of Stu Baylor, what's kind of the mental outlook throughout the rest of the season, or at least until summer break?
You know, even today I'm still not 100% from the arm, so I struggled a lot at Ironman early on in the race, and I figured here it would be the same thing, but I got the whole shot and I was able to control the pace because it was fairly slippery. So I felt like I had a good pace and I actually was fairly comfortable. So I still have some healing to do. I just want to, I mean, honestly, I'm a little surprised about the win today, but I'll take it, like I said. And the next two, I just need to get through, have a good result, and then heal up over the summer break so I'm ready to go after the break.
Well, I would say he is ready to go now. Make some noise, your Wiseco John Penton winner, Josh Strang.
I tell you what, nothing like a good surprise on a day like today, you know, and as surprised as Josh Strang may have been with the way it turned out here today, you know, he has to know the years of hard work and dedication that he's put to his training program is what yields days like this, Mark.
Absolutely, and it was cool to see him up there, and looks like we got Mikey Wayne with Ricky Russell, our second place finisher.
Ricky Russell, man, a P2 out here today, and boy, just a solid all-around race for you, Ricky. Seems like things finally clicking for you for all 3 hours.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a struggle of a year, to say the least. But I told the boys I'm finally healthy and feeling strong again coming in here. Actually, Missouri Enduro last week, and I was like, I finally feel like me again, and you know, most people, oh, he's not going to last 3 hours. So I came out here and proved them wrong, and it felt good because we were right in contention the whole race. 2 to go. Josh really laid the hammer down and got away from me, and I tried to pin it last lap as hard as I could and hit my lines, and felt like I had a good last lap, but he was about 10, 15 ahead of me at the finish. So unfortunately, didn't get the win, but this is huge building steps for me. Get me on the podium again because it's been a while.
Hey, it's been a minute, and I'm going to throw it back a little bit. We got one more round and then Snowshoe. And we know Ricky Russell is a man to be reckoned with at Snowshoe.
Yeah, no doubt. I like Snowshoe. That's my one and only win there. So bikes, like I said, the bike's feeling awesome, and I think we're got a good setting already going into there. So I'm excited for Snowshoe. We got Mason-Dixon, which is only 10 minutes away from the coastal complex, so that's nice and easy. We just wake up the morning of and probably head there, and that'll be nice. And then Snowshoe is one of my favorites, and then summer break. So hopefully finish it in the summer break really strong.
There you go, Rodney. I'm calling his next race a home race, an adopted home race, and then Snowshoe. Oh, look out for this man.
Well, I tell you what, Mark, in reality, we couldn't be at a better part of the season than what we are for Ricky Russell. To get the momentum that he's got going today, to be going into these next 2 rounds, he's pretty already excited about it. So we know that this ride today really means a lot for those next 2 rounds.
Yeah, I've got to apologize for Ricky. I forgot about that one GNCC he won, and you can see on the expression on his face today, this was as good as a win for him. He's back, and after the accident he went through, it was amazing to see where he's at. And we got Mikey down there with Jordan, and Jordan had an awesome ride today. He kind of worked his way back, but then at the end he put the hammer down and made it happen.
Yes, he did.
Well, we know one thing. Jordan likes the mud. But hey, man, it was not the best start for you. You really had to work away, chip at this one. You had the axe out most of that race, chipping away at it, but you ended up back on the box where we are used to seeing you.
Yeah, you know, I didn't get a very good start, and I was pretty frustrated because I just couldn't ride to my potential. I couldn't get around anybody, and passing was really difficult on this track. So, man, I did the best I could, and mid-race I kind of got it by myself a little bit and was able to get my breath and start pushing hard. And, yeah, I kind of just reeled in towards the end and snagged third. And, man, just another lap. Maybe we could have kept on going. But now I felt good at the end of the race, and that's what we've been working on this year. So, yeah, we'll keep on it.
Well, Jordan, keep it up. Keep up the good work, man. What's it going to take? We got next round, a couple of weeks, man. What's it going to take to get Jordan Ashburn in P1?
You know, starts are so crucial, man. Like, I know Strang and Ricky got a good start today, and they just hammered out. And it's just back there eating roost, and it's just tough. But so good starts are a huge key to this. Yeah, just try to do that and go on with it.
All right, there you go, Rodney Tomlin. Sounds like Jordan Ashburn maybe a good start away from snagging his first XC1 win.
I tell you what, it's bound to happen eventually, man. The way he's been riding and the heart that he puts into it, no doubt about it. Coming away with that third-place position finish today, pretty amazing ride. And definitely a very eventful day of riding for both XC1 and XC2. I think we may have finally settled down and got our top. Yeah, Cody Barnes did check in with the win. Ryder Lafferty was about a minute and 25 seconds back. Liam Draper finished in the number 3 position in that class, and not another minute behind him, 52 seconds or so. So pretty impressive stuff, no doubt about that. Josh Toth gets the 4th place position. Grant Baylor takes rounds out the top 5, but Cody Barnes takes 6th place overall and the win in the XC2 250 Pro class.
Cody Barnes, man, P6 in the OA and P1 in the XC2. Finally, man, putting it together. A solid 3-hour race today. Tell us the story of the ride.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't get off to the best start, but I knew it was slick out there, and a lot of guys were sliding around, crashing, and just tried to ride smooth, man. And yeah, I'm pretty speechless on it. You know, I've been chasing this. I've been close a couple times, and to win is it's awesome. So I'm pumped.
You should be. What clicked out there for you? I mean, obviously some ups and downs this year, but today things clicked for you. What made the difference for Cody Barnes?
Yeah, I think it was just like I was able to put everything together. You know, we've been up there, just had some bad luck, and yeah, I think I was just able to put it all together. Was able to ride smart lines, and I wasn't just bombing all the ruts. I was trying to be smooth and go outside of them and take some different lines, and I think that kind of helped me carry momentum. And you know, it was really slick, so if you started spinning, you could get hung up really easy. So yeah, I'm pumped. So
you should be. There you go, you guys, make some noise. Your winner of the XC2, Cody Barnes.
I'll tell you what, a good program fit there with him and the Phoenix Honda Racing team. David Eller, an amazing individual, a racer himself from years ago from the motocross racing world. Kind of new to the GNCC racing world, but man, loves it and loves what's going on with Cody Barnes right now. And there you see results are starting to show that. Josh Strang taking the overall win here today. Ricky Russell, Jordan Ashburn, Josh Toth, Grant Baylor, your top 5. And then Cody Barnes winning that XC2 250 Pro class in 6th overall. Ryder Lafferty 7th, 2nd in class. Trevor Bollinger finishing 8th overall. Liam Draper 3rd in class and 9th overall. And Mike Wachowski holds on for a 4th place in class and a 10th place overall position. So, you know, riders could have lost a lot more. They could have maybe gained a little bit more, but seems to all in all mark like a pretty good day for everyone.
Yeah, and I think the top 3s all had a great day in a different way. You know, Strang coming back, winning the race. Ricky Russell running up front again. And Jordan Ashburn showed a lot of heart, getting that 3rd spot on the podium, the last spot, and really helps his points for the championship. So he really stepped up at the end when I actually thought he was kind of going backwards there a little bit, but he was able to hold off Josh Toth on that last lap charge, and so I think all 3 on the podium were really winners in different ways today.
Absolutely. Big tip of the hat to our Racer TV crew and the amazing job that they have done. Of course, our producer Adam Gordon, director Dylan Accord here today, our engineer in charge Jordan McFadden getting this place built along with Dylan, of course, Dan Reinhardt overseeing it all, but big special thanks to our camera operators out in the elements. Of course, we're talking about Dylan Atkins, Nick Valsberg, Adam Atkins, Brett Tustin, Chloe Atkins, and of course, big tip of the hat to our drone operator. I think he, as always, steals the show today, Daniel Rogerson. And that's going to do it for us here from Racer TV and GNCC. Don't forget, check out GNCCRacing.com for our upcoming schedule. We hope to see you there soon. On behalf of Mark Hyde, Mikey Waynes, and all of us here at RacerTV.com and GNCC, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.